listening to the Northern Hunter Podcast, home of all things hunting, fishing, and outdoors in Alaska. All right, everybody, welcome back to the show. My name is James Payne. We've got Mo on the controls today.
Hello.
We got Chris in the room.
Hey.
And we're all sitting down with Tim Jensen of Hanging Dead Beetling. Thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, not a problem at all. I'm excited to kind of talk to you about different ways you can work with a skull and all the things you can do. This is kind of the time of year. People are going to be dropping a lot of between now and freeze. So
October.
Yeah. It's not just bear skulls you do. You do any of them.
Yeah.
So
And pretty much anything.
Perfect. So yeah, I'm super excited for that. And then we got bear season still on the way. Still underway, I should say, not on the way.
Yeah.
You guys both were successful earlier in the year. Or how's the baiting been going so far? Or since then, I should say. Go ahead.
Still got bait with bears on it. Just they were kind of sporadic there for a week or so, which is to be expected around this time.
I was gonna say, this time it should be picking back up.
Yeah.
Around this
I expect
time.
it to. I was thinking about heading out tomorrow night, but the way I'm feeling right now, I don't know if that's happening. But
You got a little touch of the spring
something.
Something.
Yeah. Anyway, but at least, but at the latest, I'll get back out there Friday, and
Good. It's good they're still hitting. I know you struggled with that one last year. So
I get them to even
awesome.
hit to begin with last year. It was somewhat I was struggling with, but
That's what I'm super stoked for that one for you, is just watching that whole thing unfold. But so, what about you, Chris? Having any excitement out there?
We touched base earlier. I haven't really had any new activity. It seems like new bears show up when I sit.
Right. You're saying
like nothing there on camera, and then I just want to leave. So last night I went out and topped everything off, threw some grease down, some stank.
Mm-hmm.
And I was pretty burnt. This was my very last run because I got some baits going with buddies too.
Sure.
So do my part, go run around when it's my turn and stock stuff and make stuff stinky again. And so I was pretty spent, and I'm like, well, I'm going to sit down here, take a breather, and hadn't had anything on those cameras. And so I'm like, just about to go put the card back in the camera and call it a night, and cracked a Red Bull, had a snack, made a bunch of noise, and next thing I know, I hear something rustling, and I don't know if you guys have ever had this, but I either have bears come in like cruising and stomping, announcing themselves, or they sound like red squirrels.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and so I hear like what I thought was like a red squirrel going through the leaves, and like I'm looking down on the ground in the tree stand, and then I'm like looking behind me to see if because I've had bears get like in the grease buckets and stuff behind the tree stand, like walk up on me, and I'm like, oh, there's a bear under me. But so I'm trying to track this red squirrel down, and all of a sudden I just look up, and it's this fat grizzly bear just rolling in, and like I'm like, you got to be kidding. So this is one of those those controversial areas where we're not allowed to shoot them after after May.
Yep.
So it's almost like he knew that too. So came in and taunted me, and like I put half a bag of food in there, and I'm like, dude, you're not. And I just knew. I was like, this thing's just gonna sit and just polish off everything I just did.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, hey,
they're good at that.
Oh yeah, dude. I mean, they'll just sit just sit there. And so like I'm like, hey, get. And he just woofed at me and like growled, and then just sat out in the woods like huffing at me. I go to come down the tree stand, and he wasn't very happy. And then I felt pretty cool getting him to take off, and then he's just staring at me, and I'm like, I have to walk by you to get out of here. So we played the battle of the wits, and I tried to act really big with a grease bucket in my hand, banging it and acting like a lunatic, walking back to the truck. So, and I think I convinced him that something was wrong with me there. So
this one's crazy.
I was like,
he's not like those other baiters I've dealt with.
Pretty creeped out too, because I mean, they can concern you.
Oh sure,
And I mean, they're smart enough that the chances are they're not gonna do anything to you, really. I mean, but he was pretty reluctant to leave, and usually grizzly bears will split when I try to scare them out. You know, they're long gone. I mean, you can hear them hightailing it, but he like hung around, and that stuff probably tasted really good and it smelled nice.
It's fresh, man.
Mm-hmm.
But he didn't really seem like he wanted to just give it up that easy. I was like, I got to get past you to go home. So we're
Like, trust me, it's yours once I'm gone.
I'm not allowed to shoot you, but I will if I have to.
Well, and I'm excited, for what the future holds, because it always has seemed like they know. And I know that's just the way the cycles work, and they just get more active this time of year. But it's like, you almost want to think it's like, man, I can't shoot you. I had that same problem last year. I had 4 of them come piling in at different times on a bait where I couldn't shoot them. And it didn't start until June 1st. I'm like,
Oh yeah.
you got to be kidding me right now.
Yep.
Like,
Dude, you know what the craziest thing is too? Is like, cause they're a little more weary. Like they're smart.
mm-hmm.
So I like dumped that food out, walked back to the truck, grabbed more grease, walked in, stunk everything up, took a leak, like did all this stuff you're not supposed to do. Like I'm getting tagged by mosquitoes, like spray myself down, throw that can of bug spray on the ground. Then I walk over the tree stand and I have like a different one that my wife, cause she goes like Costco and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
She'll just throw bug spray cans. And so I'm like, oh, okay, this is a different one. I'm like smelling it like it's perfume or something. I'm like, oh, that's a nice one. Like spray myself in that one. I've got all this stuff going on that's not going on in there.
Yeah.
And then the mosquitoes could care less about the bug spray. They're just still tagging me anyway. So I'm like, I fire up one thermocell. I've got like that one on the ground. I walk one up, put it in the tree stand because I'm like, I'm going to need one up there, but I need one down here too.
Mm-hmm.
I have all this stuff going on that's totally out of place. Take another leak, go back in the tree stand, just everything you don't do for a grizzly bear. And this thing just waltzes in, like just owns the place. I'm like, of course you do this. Like, yep.
Did he eyeball you at all, or you just go straight to the pile?
he I don't think he saw me at all.
Right.
I don't think he knew I was there. And usually they'll kind of sniff where you walked.
Mm-hmm.
And he did do that. But
just didn't seem to.
And you know bothered. The funny thing is too, is every time I'll like walk into the bait, I'll spray the bottom of my boots with bug spray just to get rid of any like,
right.
Yep. Mm. And then I always have gloves on. Those are pretty doused in bug spray. So I don't know that it's so much the smells that matter with those guys' intelligence level as much as it is like masking your own smell, like human scent. But I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not a pro, but
I'm not sure. I've never like specifically targeted grizz at a bait. I've had them come in and stuff like that, but so I've never tried the little tricks. I've actually I'm always going for food, right? Like,
yeah.
So we eat black bear like it's like there's no tomorrow, and so I'm always trying to keep the grizzlies off my baits, at least at most of them. I've got one running this year that I might get lucky with a G bear. We'll see, but
they're hard to fool.
Yeah,
and it's just stuff like that where you're just like, are you kidding, dude? Like you'll try rubber boots, scent mitigation, all this stuff to fool them, and you just sit these long soaks night after night, and then all of a sudden, like you're in there like spent making noise. I think I was listening to the podcast too, like right before that, because I was like, oh, how'd that dip netting one come out? And I'm like, listen, how dumb do I sound? I mean, just making all kinds of racket, you know?
That's awesome.
And I'm just like, maybe he likes the podcast too.
Right. Hey. Well, and for any of our listeners, if you wanted to give that a try,
I don't advise that. You listen, don't listen to it in the bait station.
Right. I mean, it works for you. I don't know.
Dude, I'm not kidding.
We got to prove this theory or not.
Just everything you don't do.
Yeah. Well, and that's kind of the hard thing. I mean, you and I were talking about that with the concept of, is there a black bear bait versus a grizzly bait earlier and everything. And it's like so many varying experiences. And some people really harp on I've been doing this for 10 years and I've always only seen grizzly bears when I use this particular thing. That's why, I do use it or don't use it. And some people have other opinions. It doesn't matter. And it's like,
yeah,
that's kind of the thing with bears. It's like, they're also individualistic. Everyone's going to have a different experience. You can go in noisy as all get out and a grizz walks in, right? And maybe he just knows you can't shoot him, right?
And maybe he like broke his guard in another bait.
Yeah.
And knew there was people there or got shooed away and it wasn't a bad experience, right? So he's maybe guards down. Who knows?
Yeah. But it's like that.
And I've had him come in and load up on sweets. Like that bait, it's all sweets. There's nothing rotten in there.
Yeah.
And just I mean, that thing's been hit by grizz, and earlier this season it got tagged pretty hard, and we've had them where it's all donuts and pastries, and you'll have black bears, and then the grizz will start working that area, and then they just push those black bears off, and they'll eat all that. And that's one thing about grizz is they'll kind of, once they eat and they run out of food, it's gone. They seem to move on.
Right.
And then those black bears will come back in, and black bears will eat twigs and dirt and anything that's got stink in it or flavor in it.
Well, that's the last year when I had grizz covering up my bait. It was never like they were camping there. It was like they would come in and they might camp out for like 2 to 3 nights. And then that one would move on and a different one would come in.
Mm-hmm.
And then that one would stay there for 3 to 4 days. And then it would move on. And then I had a mated pair come in and they hung out for a few days. And just, they weren't like, like black bears, you can watch them just hang out there. Like, okay, every day this week he's been here at 8 p.m. And you can kind of pattern them that way. It wasn't that way. It was, I don't know. That's kind of the cool thing about baiting, I guess, is you never really know what you're walking into.
I don't think that I don't think we have the power over dictating what's a black bear bait or what's a grizzly bear bait.
Yeah.
As hunters.
How'd you put it earlier? Who shows up, eat.
Yeah, that's what I said to you. Yeah, I said whoever shows up is who eats.
Yeah, exactly.
Whoever doesn't want beef with that dude goes bye-bye to the next bait or goes moose hunting for a few days.
Exactly.
I mean, that dude didn't have the look that I think I should post that video.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of cool.
That is a really cool video.
But
yeah, you should.
But and he was a good looking bear.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I would have been it
wasn't a juvenile.
Oh, no.
Like, because sometimes you'll have the juvenile bears that come in, they just don't know any better.
Yep.
But
I sent that to the Knights of the Round Table this morning.
the night
of the Round Table.
Whole round table to himself.
No, that was it. That would have been stoked on that bear. I think I would have packed all my stuff up for the year. right there. I think
I won. That's it.
Bye.
We got one for eating, one for mountain. We're good.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Just come to my house. I'm just in flip flops and the grizzly bear hide. What's up, man?
just caped over your back.
How are you?
Totally see you doing that too.
Oh, man.
So perfect.
Do not send me that picture.
You're getting one now, Tim.
Right. It's happening.
I'm deleting you off my phone.
You're going to be like, dude, what's up with this picture? I'm like, remember what we talked about? I finally killed that bear, and here's that picture. Camel flip-flops.
Oh, man.
Oh,
that's cool.
Yeah. And at first thing, right when that happened, I'm like, dude, if this was next season,
mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Well, that was the first time we saw a grizz at that bait last year. I almost forgot it was first, and I'm really glad I remembered.
Did he come in with you guys there?
We walked in on him. Yeah, we were walking in, and he stood up and looked at me, and I was like, okay, so you're here, and almost like started making a game plan on like.
Did he spook or did he?
Oh, he spooked. Yeah.
Like,
he just got back down and just wandered off into the thick, and we sat for a little bit just to get a visual, just to see if we could get some video of him or something like that. And he never came back. But I was like, man, I'm really glad I remembered it was June, because it was right on the cusp.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, that's when you get hung up.
Yeah.
Like you get too excited or something like that.
Yeah.
I've kind of complained about that 15-day extension. Like I've been like ungrateful for that.
Mm.
But the more I've thought about it is like that 15-day window really isn't like, it's a significant.
It is.
Oh, yeah.
That's a significant extension on that.
Yeah.
And they start moving so much more in June.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, they do. Because they usually, when I was baiting, we didn't see grizz until June. It was June 2nd, June 3rd till we saw her first. And
right. That's
there's
always
nothing
been,
you could do.
That's always been the case for me too. Yeah.
Yep.
Did you guys get them to come in a lot?
Oh, yeah. They were in all the time.
Like with you guys sitting in there and stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, they would spook out when we came in, and then you sit back, you get in there and you're in there 45 minutes, and here they come back in.
That's so cool.
And it didn't matter what you had up there, if it was sweet or you had, carcasses or anything. They didn't care. They ate whatever was quick, easy, and they just they just sat there forever.
Turn and burn.
Yeah, those clean you out.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, they will.
Yeah. That's when you lose 200 pounds of dog food.
That's why I shooed that guy away. And I the smart thing to have done would have been let him get his fill.
Mm-hmm.
Let him just eat that thing, take a nap up there or something while he's doing his thing. Let him clean it out, go back to the truck. get more dog food,
Right.
fill it up.
Fill it up
So
behind
he
him.
had the nice quality experience, but we had a little meet and greet.
There's a real good chance he'll be back.
He met the Perez.
So hopefully he forgets about that between. He's got a year to forget about that.
Hopefully he stays away for this year and then comes back next
Is
year.
this that bait where that dude ran down the ladder and almost fell on his face?
Right.
No, this ain't the one, is it? Smells the same.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you guys are having fun. I'm about to be. This is the time of year I'm about to be hitting those baits hard. The ones I've got out right now, they've been getting some action. So hopefully we'll be in business soon. But one cool little announcement. Anybody who's got us on the Instagram knows this already, but my wife got her first bear.
Oh, nice.
This last weekend. So
That was awesome.
Good deal.
Not on a bait either. Very late year spot and stalk, which it's cool because I've been really trying to focus more on spot and stalk this year. Not necessarily. I mean, obviously, I'm going to take any opportunity I can get, right? But it's a little bit late in the year to expect that. But I've been, looking at areas and everything like that because I think anybody who's listened to the show for a long time knows how my baiting season went last year. And I was continuously calling it the year of heartbreak because
Ouch.
we got covered up in grizz on that one, right? And we had a late start last year, right? I mean, we didn't set up until I think it was almost May 20th,
Oh, wow.
like May 15th, something like that. And I was still plowing through snow to get to my spot.
Oh, yeah. That's right.
We got hit pretty quickly within 4 days, and they're all excited. And then June comes around, nothing but grizzly, absolutely nothing but grizzly bears. And we tried a couple different things, and just the black bears weren't coming back. So, good night. Somebody upstairs.
There was a
thunder?
nasty thunderstorm.
Oh, is that
through.
thunder?
Yeah, it's coming down outside right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. For anybody listening, we just heard thunder through the building.
Yeah.
That's
I
awesome.
just stopped and thinking, did I leave any tools in the back of my
Sounded
truck?
like somebody was rolling a cart upstairs.
I think there's not a spot to do that above us.
Right? That's what was confusing me. But anyway, no. So we moved spots into an area where if it did get covered up in grizz, we could shoot them, and absolutely clobbered in black bears. But I ended up being out of town for work. I work in remote areas of Alaska, doing communication stuff, and I ended up being up off the slope the entire last part of June last year. And so I set it up on a weekend, and then that Monday we got the call, and it was 90+ hour weeks from then on out.
Oh,
And
man.
just no, and when you're done with your workday, in my line of work, you're not home. You're sleeping in a mechanical room or a school somewhere, and then you're
Sleeping in a gym or
Yeah,
something.
exactly.
getting on a plane the next day to go to the next gym, and so that was the year of heartbreak for me. And so this year, I kind of decided, I don't want to rely on baiting as my only means of bear hunting anymore. It's a great way to bear hunt. It's a wonderful way to bear hunt. I love bear baiting. But I was I want to be able to be multifaceted, you could say. And so I started scouting out areas and looking for spots and everything like that. And one of which was around an area where I sometimes do work, kind of the benefit of working in remote areas.
Oh, yeah.
And my wife decided she didn't want to stay in town for the weekend. So she came out and met me. And I was like, all right, cool. We're doing this. And I had seen bears even this late in the season in that area before. And so I was like, you know what? We're just going to cover ground and glass and do whatever we got to do and just try to be in the right place at the right time. We'll go to places where I've seen them before and just catch them crossing, which is exactly what ended up happening was it's, in parts of Alaska, there's always thick, but it's not, in certain parts of Alaska, it's not thick everywhere, right? So they have to go from thick to thick. And if you can catch them in between, that's where the gold
A
is.
lot of times too, there's open ground in between all that.
That's what I mean is them
Yeah.
crossing through that open ground to get from thick to thick. And they don't hang out there much this time of year because it's hot and they're, what they're chasing is in the thick. But we happen to be out in the right spot at the right time and be ready when we needed to be.
Yeah.
And
That's the key.
and she did phenomenal. We made a stalk on it up to about 130 yards, and it was not standing still. It was cruising to get from point A to point B. But when you encounter that little tidbit, you just do a real high pitch, hey,
Mm-hmm.
it's not threatening, so they don't run, but they just look at you like, what in the heck was that?
Mm-hmm.
Dude, I'm telling you, I do that with critters too.
Yeah.
But I'll do like the aggressive, hey.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well, and I've done the hey.
Yeah, it works
bears
good.
before, and they run when I do that. So this time I was like, hey.
Yeah, a little more neutral.
Yeah.
Hey.
How you doing? And she was all set up on her sticks and everything like that. And just, I got her set up with a 6.5 PRC like literally 5 days before this hunt,
Oh, nice.
and got a nice Swaro scope on it and everything. And so she did phenomenal. But put it down in one shot, didn't go two. And, we ended up getting it back to the truck and getting everything taken care of, over the last couple of days. And man, it was a really cool experience to
Nice.
see her get her first one. It was a color phase.
Oh, nice. That's awesome.
Yeah. So, my wife is such a good sport. She baits with me. She does all kinds of stuff with me. And she suffers through the suck like better than most men I know,
Yeah.
and just doesn't complain. And she is just tough as nails. And, so last year, part of the reason it was the year of heartbreak is because I wasn't shooter up either. So with how hard last year was, I was like, okay, she's got to get her bear first. I promised my other buddy, I was like, yeah, you help me do setup and all that, and you can shoot a bear on this bait 100%. And so this year, just because last year went south doesn't mean that shooting order got messed up, right? So get her out, got her first bear, absolutely gorgeous bear, no rub marks, no nothing like that. Not a tank,
It
but a
looked
good,
really nice.
good mature bear, good color phase.
Good.
The meat was just perfect too. Not a whole lot of fat. Like you guys had described your bears as being pretty fatty. Not a whole lot on this one.
Different region too.
Yeah, could be different terrain, different features and all that. So, but man, it was a cool experience. And
Dude, that's
she
so cool.
helping me
Yeah.
skin it out and process the meat and everything like that. And I just got done getting the hide all prepped up and ready to get shipped out to Moyles. 30 minutes before I came here to record. So
We might want to get that thing hung up tonight.
Yeah.
The more I'm listening to this stuff overhead.
Well, so the main body of it's pretty much dry right now. I salted it on the way home, which made it did make the finer details of hide prep a little bit more complicated. The ears weren't too bad. I turned the ears pretty easily. The eyes were a little bit of a pain just because the fat was already starting to dry up around the eyes. I got the lips turned.
Did you salt it before you did all that?
Yeah.
Yeah, you never want to do
you
that.
never
with
want
a
to do
bear.
that. But with where we were and how long it was going to be before I could get back to my setup, I just wanted to make sure I at least got the surface of it dried out, right? And so I went through a lot of replaceable blades. Well, trying to cut through that dried out stuff. And then but yeah, all the toes are turned and everything's good to go. So that part of it, the head and the hands and everything are on salt right now. But the main torso, the back and everything is all pretty much good to go. I'm going to leave it to dry for a little bit longer, but then it'll
As
be
long
ready
as
to
that
ship out.
salt penetrates, you don't even really need to worry about it being completely dry.
Mhm.
As long as you don't have room for bacterial growth.
I was
on
going to say,
that.
I always worry about
you
it
want
getting
it to
like,
dry.
Yeah.
But
I always worry about it getting messed up in the mail on the way down there, Like,
no.
I know it's pretty quick, but it's like if I leave moisture in there,
Yeah.
and, it's like
You definitely don't want to rush the process of getting it shipped out.
right.
You
yeah,
want that thing to dry.
yeah,
And once it starts to kind of dry, you want to roll it up before it's
Yep.
too dry
Yeah.
like everything else, because then
Yeah.
you went from like fit to ship package to like, man, we need a big box.
right, yeah,
It's all hollow in the center because you had to
Mhm.
bend it.
right,
Like
Oh, yeah.
throwing a piece of plywood in a box to ship it off.
Yeah.
yeah. No, we've yeah, it's on its way now. I think give it another like 3 days, it'll be primed, ready to ship.
They
So
can take a
it's-
while.
They can, but we've had a couple of really nice days. I mean, it's raining right now, but in between the rain, it's sunny and hot. I mean, good night. It was
Yeah.
70 plus degrees all weekend.
Yeah.
So, I mean, fire started, so that tells you it's hot and dry
Yeah.
outside. So we got fire season kicked off with a boom.
So I
So
was hoping that'd go pretty hard over there.
do what?
I was hoping that would all burn over there
Oh.
pretty good because it's in a good place.
I was gonna say, has it been a while since that area burned? I've never actually like spent time in that area, but it's across the river, right?
Yeah, there's nothing like really threatening over there. We obviously got the river between us, and that doesn't mean that we're like bulletproof. But
It's already crossed the river.
is it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's not a good spot if it's on that side of the river.
but like that stuff, that's good moose habitat down the road.
That's true. That's very true.
Give that a few years, and
Yep.
Yeah.
Let that low greenery start growing.
I obviously never want anyone to like encounter the issues that come with that. But as far as like Mother Nature doing her thing, too, that is some good moose stuff.
I did see some choppers flying around with the water buckets and all that. So I think they're fighting like a part of it, maybe.
Yeah.
But
You mentioned that I was coming over Blaine, and I saw this morning, and I could see smoke, and I was like, that looks like it's on this side of the river because you could kind of see that smoke out there, like little patches of it. But
Yeah, so I read it this morning. It crossed the river, and it's heading this way.
It's
Heading this way
mellowing
pretty
out at
quick.
all?
Oh, man.
No, there was a few spots it was mellowing out that I read, but now it's still burning pretty good.
Hopefully this rain slows stuff down a little bit.
yeah, maybe.
It takes a lot of rain though for
Yeah.
to fight wildfire.
It does.
Well, I know they got rain last night for about 3 hours, but other than that, I haven't heard nothing else.
Mm-hmm.
So
Well, and once you get those embers going, I mean, I've heard tales of it just reigniting as soon as the rain stops.
yeah,
It's
just quick.
yeah, right back to it. So
Yep.
I've even heard, I don't know how true this is. I've heard it'll do it under snow too, but that sounds a little far fetched for me. But
That I don't know.
I'd believe it because you got to think in like there's a bunch of fuel in this stuff, and like all that pitch. It doesn't matter if it's wet. It just needs that ignition temp, right?
Have you heard of root fires?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, when people like dig fire pits down and catch roots on fire.
Yeah,
Yes.
Or you burn stumps and you don't think about it, and then all of a sudden you come out and your whole yard's on fire.
Right.
Because it burned underground to the next trees.
Exactly.
Your neighbor's
Yeah.
neighbor's yard's on fire.
Yeah.
Like there is some fire stuff like I would just never think of. Like,
Oh yeah.
like if you asked me like if that was possible, I'd be like, no, it's underground. What are you talking about? There's no oxygen. Fire needs oxygen.
No.
But apparently, the laws don't apply to everything.
I think
Yeah.
there's places where there's like fires that have been burning for like decades.
I think that's the one I heard about where it was like under snow and everything, and just winter stops, everything dries out again, and it's just
Kicks back on.
right back
Instant.
to it. Yeah,
We should research that at some point.
that would be a cool thing to research.
Yeah.
Honestly, you know what would be really cool? Get like a fire expert in here to tell us about a lot of this stuff.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to find a guy.
So we're not talking about stuff
if
we
you
don't know about.
So if you're listening, you're a fire expert.
We'd really appreciate you.
There's some
on
weird
board.
people calling in on that one.
Not that kind of experience.
No.
That's all I can think is some of these kids I knew growing up were just like fire. They get all weird around fire, and you're like, and they want to be perceived as that, and you look at them like,
We get
that's what I thought of when you
we
said
get some
that.
12-year-old calling into the show.
Right, exactly. Or worse yet, the 40-year-old who acts like he's 12.
Ugh,
Yeah,
yeah,
that
that's the
too.
worser one. But
We went through a little phase of blowing stuff up when we were kids.
I think everybody
I think
did.
Oh yeah.
I think mine ended when I was about 28.
Dude, my buddy, kind of off topic, but my buddy's grandmother owned a realty company.
Mm-hmm.
And so we would build these real estate signs with her signs on them. And then like this is back when like M80s were legal.
Oh yeah.
So we'd go at night and blow the signs up that we built. And everyone knew about it, like the law knew about it, but it's just that weird small town stuff. Like,
Right.
yeah, you just get those like just those scowls at the grocery store and stuff.
These
Like,
hoodlums over here.
yeah, and she'd be like, "We need to build some more of these signs. Someone blew them up again." Okay, getting paid to blow signs up.
Yeah.
Oh man.
We were like, I don't know, we were like 14, 15 years old.
Perfect job for a 14 to 15.
But yeah, they'd go like, we'd build them and then they'd haul them out and like, distribute them throughout town to like property she was selling. We just go and tape M80s to them and just blast these things.
He was 14 years old, already working on job security. Like, I guess I got to build a new one. Weird.
What a shame.
I love it.
Kids.
Oh,
Just no respect these days, No respect.
Oh man.
But, all right. Well,
Oh, that's good.
So yeah, good things are we've all got fresh bear meat in the freezer. We've all got skulls. So let's take a break real quick and we'll talk more about that.
All right, folks. We all know that one of the most common mishaps in hunting is damage to your rifle scope. Last year, I found the solution to that problem with the Stealthy Hunter rifle cover. It wraps around your scope and actions securely to protect it from getting knocked off of zero or even severely damaged. Stealthy Hunter also has a glassing pad and a wide variety of supplements for the outdoorsman, such as protein powder, CBD products, turmeric, and gut health supplements. They also make a lightweight trauma kit weighing in at just 14 ounces that includes everything you need and nothing you don't for all of your backcountry medical emergencies. To shop all of their equipment and supplements, go to stealthyhunter.com and enter the discount code at checkout, The Northern Hunter, to save on your order today. All Stealthy Hunter equipment is proudly made in the USA.
All right, so Tim, so before we get into too much about skulls and the processes and everything you do, let's get a little bit of background here, like how you got to Alaska. I know you and I have had this conversation before, actually, because we talked like a year ago, something like that, at one of the banquets.
Yep.
And you and a bunch of your vet buddies were all there, and we were chit chatting and everything, having a good time. But so not to replicate that conversation, but just for anybody listening that might, be interested.
Yeah, no, we, well, I'm retired Air Force, did about almost 21 years. And we, our second duty station was down in Anchorage with J-Bear, and we were leaving. Wife's like, yeah, we need to retire here.
It's always good when the wife.
Not my idea.
Because it's normally the opposite.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I didn't argue one bit. So yeah, it took us about 10 more years to get back up here. And as soon as we got here, we made sure we could stay. We weren't leaving. But funny thing is, we're stationed in J-Bear. We never came up here.
Really?
To Fairbanks. Never, not once. Just never made it up here. I mean, you think, I got 4 years up there. I'm good. Man, 4 years goes by in a blink of an eye.
Oh, yeah.
Real quick,
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, we never made it up here. I was always in Seward fishing. Always in Seward halibut fishing. Well, when you get to go for free, I mean, it's kind of hard to turn it down.
Exactly.
So yeah, we got up here and we planted some deep roots, and we weren't going nowhere. So yeah, and it just kind of took off from there, and I will never leave. I think I've been to lower 48 once in 10 years. And I have no desire to go back.
My hero.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's funny, the people that get ingrained, in Alaska, where it's just like, this is my home. We're all that way. Mm-hmm. Like, you can ask my wife. She wants to go visit family and she wants to go do this. And don't get me wrong, her family is great. I love them to death. I've lucked out so much with my in-laws. Like, they're great people. And they listen to the show. So, just kidding. No, I meant every word of that. But it's like pulling teeth trying to get me to agree to a trip.
I just wave as she walks out the door. I'm like, have fun.
Right.
I'll see you later. I mean, but she's only left, I think, once also. Well, we've been gone now twice. So we went to Vegas to go watch a hockey game. But other than that, yeah, she went home to see her folks, her mom once, and that's it.
Yeah.
So that's the good thing. She don't want to leave either.
Good.
Yeah. No.
So you got into a lot of fishing while you were here the first time. Did you start digging into the woods and all that?
I did. First time? I did some hunting while I was here. Went caribou hunting with a neighbor I met, and we're really good friends now. Known him for now over 20 years. So yeah, he took me out caribou hunting, did all that, and just kind of went from there. I did a little moose hunting, not a lot, because I had no clue what I was doing. I mean, whitetail are a dime a dozen, down in South Dakota and all that, and yeah. But coming up here in moose, that's a whole new game. And this place, you can get lost walking in your backyard.
Yes, you can.
So yeah, but
I can vouch for that. I've done
it. Yeah. Yeah, no, it was fishing. I mean, I had a cousin down in Seward that I met after I moved up here, and literally he's like, the first summer we were here, I think I was down there for the 3 months of summer we had. I was probably down there all but 2 weekends of the whole summer halibut fishing. Wow. I mean, we had the biggest chest freezer you could have, and there was nothing in it but halibut, lingcod, all the stuff you catch down there, and that was it.
Awesome.
But yeah,
that's good eating right there.
I had a lot of trading bait. That was for sure. Yeah. A lot of trading bait. So, yeah. Yep.
And yeah, I'm excited for that coming up. I mean, don't get me wrong, bear hunting's great, but I am super excited for July because that's when my wife and I go down and do all the deep sea stuff.
See, I've already been down once this year.
Have you? Yeah.
It's such a relief when bear baiting's over. It's like I can't commit to anything while bear baiting.
I know that's the hardest part.
Yeah, like I know my wife secretively is just so happy when it's over.
Mm-hmm. Mine too.
Like, cool. Now we'll go do all the stuff that I don't want to do. I don't really want to do.
Mine had an epiphany on the way home. We were coming back after she got her bear, and I'm talking about how I'm going to take my buddy out this weekend, and we're going to go try to get him a bear and everything, and it's going to be fun. And she's like, "Wait, I don't have to go with you." I was like, "No, yeah, it's just going to be me and him." She's like, "I don't have to sit." Like, it's like you hit her, and she's like, and then like 2 days later, she's like, I think I do want to sit a little bit. I do still want to go to the bear. I'm like, okay, I knew you would. Like you've just been burnt out after the last 3 years with me. But no, yeah, that fishing, man, down there, it's awesome. That's so much fun to do.
Oh yeah, I got property in Kenai, and then our boat's in Kenai. Should be there now, I hope. So yeah, we go down there. We launch out the beach, go out, do our shore fish or our fishing. We're done. We're not done in 2.5 hours. We looked at the GPS completely wrong. But then we're back already. Well, I mean, I'm dead serious. We are catching fish I don't want to ruin my whole summer or nothing, but yeah, I mean, within 10 to 30 minutes, we're already reeling in fish.
Nice.
And
that's awesome.
We take 2 boats out usually, catch our limit and then we're back at the cabin. We're usually back by noon, 1 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, and you go.
Then it's time to kick back,
yeah. Take care of the fish, get all that done, whatever, and then,
Well, and that's the other point of that too, is like having the ability to just go out and come back with your own boat or a buddy's boat or cousin, something like that. Like the charter services, don't get me wrong, are awesome. They're great. They do a lot for you. They put you right on top of good fish most of the time, but you are committing to at least a half day. In a lot of cases, a full day.
Full day.
And if you limit out in the first 30 minutes of halibut fishing, that's it. You're sitting there till the other 5 people limit out, and then you're going to move on to somewhere else. And, it's still a lot of fun. Don't get me wrong, but it's like being able to do like what you said, like be back by 1 or 2. Have the rest of the day.
Yep, it's great.
That's what we're going to try this year, and I'm super excited for it.
Yeah,
and be able to actually just
well worth it. Save a lot of money too. I'll tell you what.
Yeah,
a lot of money.
That stuff's so fun. I remember my wife and I, we took Addie down when he was like, I think he was only like 1.5 years or something, but nobody would take us out with a baby.
Mm-mm.
Oh, really?
Nobody. And finally, and I'm not going to mention it here, but I had one guy, he's like, shoot, nobody will take you guys out. I'll take you. We were in Ninilchik. I'll take you guys out. And I'm like, really? He's like, yeah, I just got all new safety equipment. He's like, if this boat sunk, that kid wouldn't get a drop of water on him. And we went out and had a blast. I mean, it was, we've been dying to get down there ever since. It was so good.
Yeah. That's cool. Yeah. And I'm sure there's some liability insurance stuff along with that.
Well, I wouldn't want to take. That's like someone asking you to take a 1.5-year-old into a bear bait station.
Oh, yeah.
Nah.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. I've always used the excuse that I'm from Kansas, why I don't go on the ocean very often. Like I'll go down there to fish and like whatnot, like 1 or 2 times a year, but I'm always like, I grew up as far away from any ocean as you can get. Like I get seasick, and I was getting on a boat last year on a charter, and one of our deckhands was from Kansas. Like grew up like, I don't know, 45 minutes for me. And I'm like, well, there goes my excuse.
Yep,
like, if you're not green in the face, I better not be either. Like,
exactly.
Hold it together, Jay. Hold it together.
I was sick when we got home.
Oh, really?
Yeah, dude, I don't know what it is. Even in Cali, like when I grew up down in Cali, and we'd charter out and stuff all the time out of there and like go out. But I always got sick when I got home.
Mm-hmm.
Like usually the first shower.
Weird.
Like you just lose it in the shower, just like, you get in the shower and you're like, this thing's rocking.
Wow.
Like just I'd be the only man standing. Everyone gets sick, and then like I'm like, yep, I'm gonna have to deal with this.
You've just
like,
got the loading bar going the whole drive home, and it finally loads when you get there.
I smell so bad. I smell like fish. I'm gonna have to take a shower. I'm gonna have to get in the shower. I don't know what it is. It's like that confined space, and I don't know if it's like the solid like white.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, anytime I'm out on the ocean,
Weird.
I get in, and I won't get sick, but I know it's coming.
Yeah.
Wow.
What's the stuff that my wife gave me some stuff the last time we went?
Was it
and
like dopamine or not dope? What's it called?
Hey.
Dramamine.
Dramamine, yeah.
Does that work?
I'll try anything.
I'll try anything once, twice to make sure I didn't like it.
Right.
Oh,
Yeah, I
man.
think what's that stuff you take it before you fly and stuff.
Yeah, it's the motion sickness stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dramamine.
Dude, it helped a ton.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I learned the lesson about taking it before you leave. One time because I was out there sicker than a dog, and I'm
Oh.
trying to take this stuff. And
Yeah,
keep it,
no, you're
can't even
You're
keep
giving
it down.
back. No.
I was like, bro, I'll fish at this side of the boat. Keep me away from them.
Yeah.
I'm blowing chunks off the other side while I'm reeling in fish. It's like too dumb to quit, but
You can't quit.
Exactly. You're there.
You're
you might
there.
as well fish.
What are you gonna do? Go down below and just really get sick?
Right. Well, and I'm always fine until we stop too. That's the stopping is what gets me when you're just anchored and you're just going up
and down?
up and down, up and down.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've been lucky enough. I've, knock on wood, never been seasick
Really?
ever. No, I don't know how. I've thrown up once, and that was my own stupidity. Don't
Wasn't the
ever-
waves?
No, it's not the waves. Do not ever stick your head in the bait box and take a breath. Dumbest thing you can do. I'll tell you right now.
Oh man.
Not good.
Well, that's like when
Not
you
good.
it's like when you open the beaver bucket at the bait. Like,
Yeah,
gotta
yeah.
hold it over here and
Yep.
just pop that seal a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No. Hold it together, Chris.
Yep. You can see the PTSD from beavers rotting in his brain.
Oh gosh, I'm just thinking about puking in the shower and
Oh.
like who pukes in a shower, you know? Stinky, rotten beavers in buckets and bait. And
Our life is awesome.
it's weird to live a lifestyle that the stinkier, the better. Right?
Right.
Dude, smell how bad this is. Oh, that's going to be so good.
Yeah.
Oh man. So I know that so you said before the show we were talking and you said you're not bear baiting currently just from lack of time and all that jazz, but like
Yeah.
you said you had in the past. Was that like after you came up to the interior or did you do that down there as
No,
well?
that was up here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I went it was 3-4 years. We were bear baited for that. And it just got to be and then once we started the business, then it was literally I quit bear baiting the same year we started the business. So in 20, and it just literally little by little and just got too much.
Right.
You know, it little just there was no way I had time to go or anything, and I don't even think I've gone up and done any spot and stock for the last 2 years.
really
Just been
Yeah.
that busy, and the only thing I take time for is obviously going to Kenai and going fishing down there, and then caribou and moose.
right.
Bears just kind of I still haven't shot one. I've been here 11 years. I still haven't shot a bear.
Oh, really?
But yeah, I just literally it's I don't have the time to go out and set up the stand and get out all the bait and everything else ready to go and all that. And then plus, you have to go out and check it at least once a week.
Yes. Yeah.
And then depending on where you're at, I mean, if you're 2.5 hours away and you're just going to check,
right.
yeah, I mean that's 5-6 hours that you're
You're getting home at 1 a.m. You didn't even
yeah,
get
and you didn't
anything.
even take your damn gun out of the truck. You know, you got your pistol, but that's about it. So yeah, you take your gun for a ride and some food. I mean,
Yeah.
so yeah, it's like, yeah, no, I'll let these guys do it, and I'll just focus on moose and caribou.
Mm-hmm.
So
Well, if you ever decide you do want to shoot a bear, I think you might know a group of guys that could help.
I think so now. Yeah, I think I'm pretty good.
I was going to
So,
say.
yeah. My problem is I don't like asking. I'll tell you that right now. I'm not. I mean, I've had a lot of customers that come up and they're like, "Man, if you ever want to go, just let me know. I already got it set up. Just let me know when you want to go." And I'm like, I'm not going to let you know when I want to go because
Right.
I'm not that type of person. I can't do
So
it.
he's gonna roll up with the van and yell, "Get in! We're doing man stuff
Get in,
tonight."
we're gone for 3 days. I don't know what to tell you. So, oh yeah. One of these days it'll happen.
Right.
He doesn't want to ask you with the duct tape. We're dragging him in here.
Right.
When you get him secure, offer him snacks, beverages,
A pillow, all the amenities.
give him that new in reach. Tell him he can still talk to his wife.
Yeah, I don't have an issue. That's the good thing about my wife is she knows when I'm gone, I'm gone.
Yeah.
My phone don't ring unless it's something pretty bad. That's a good thing,
Yeah.
you know. So
Yeah. That is nice.
but yeah, no.
So what got you into the business of beetling?
To be honest, it kind of just fell into my lap. I had there was no anything to do with skulls or doing taxidermy. By the way, I do not have the time or patience to do full-blown taxidermy. There's no way. No way whatsoever. I mean, I don't even like skinning the skulls out when they come in to beetle them, I'll tell you that. But literally, a buddy of mine was getting ready to PCS to move down to California for the military and finish out his 20. And he bought them, built the box, and he was doing small skulls and his stuff and things like that. And he kind of asked me if I wanted to buy them. So I was like, yeah, why not? So we bought them and it kind of just blew up from there, to be honest.
Did you kind of think you were getting into a side gig that turned into like a full-blown?
It was literally supposed to be, yes, I don't even want to say a side gig. It was literally, yep, we'll see what happens. Do, a couple here and there, do them for people and just kind of go. And yeah, that didn't happen. Did not happen at all. So yeah, it was supposed to keep me busy-ish after I retired.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, then no. So yeah.
Got rid of the ish off the end of the busy.
The ish is gone and it is full-blown just crazy. I'll be honest with you.
Yeah. Well, and I know that kind of like you were saying, you didn't have the time to bear bait and stuff like that. That's kind of been one of the biggest things that's kept me from getting into any kind of like a taxidermy-esque kind of career path is like, I've talked to a bunch of people. It's like, that's your busy season is hunting,
Oh,
so
yeah.
when you want to be out there, people are blowing your phone up and trying to bring stuff into you and you just don't really have the time.
Yeah.
Like you said. So it's almost like if that's your passion, you almost have to do that for like, if you are doing full blown taxidermy, it's almost like more of the art is your passion than the hunting part of it,
Yeah.
Even if you do hunt, get out when you can.
Yep.
But it's this time of year, especially, man, with how many people are out in the woods
Oh yeah.
in this state now,
It's crazy.
I'm sure you get plenty of skulls coming to your door.
Oh yeah, it is. And I mean it'll be busy from now until probably the end of October, to be honest with you. And I don't care. My wife is unbelievable. And I'm not just saying that because I'm on here. I'm dead serious. She is awesome. When I'm out hunting, fishing, yep, she's taking care. She's not doing any skull work. She's not doing it. She makes sure the beetles are fed and she's taking skulls in. Chris just dropped one off the other day when I was in Kenai, and she's doing all that and taking care of them. She just puts them off and just leaves them there. And yeah, she does all that for me when I'm gone, and it's awesome. So I can't, so I do get out, I go fishing, I do my hunting. I'll be hunting right in the middle. I mean, I got my cousin and his hunting partner coming up for moose this year.
Nice.
So that's a whole 15-day trip in September to go. And so yeah, I got another 11 days in next month going down to Kenai because my dad's coming up to go halibut fishing.
Right.
But yeah, it's busy, really busy right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh.
Well, and you've got to make time to get out and enjoy Alaska. I mean, there's a reason we all deal with the winters here.
Oh, yeah.
It's not just to work. And,
No.
So.
No, you got to go. And I mean, if you don't go, you're going to go insane.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, and we had a conversation. We had one of our sponsors on is Hammer Bullets. They make all monolithic bullet that is a phenomenal thing, but they take a break every once in a while to go hunting down in Montana, and they or whichever state they end up going to at that point in time, and they'll put a whole banner on their website saying shipping may be delayed. It's hunting season, and I'm like,
Right.
I can imagine nobody's probably too upset with that.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, we all understand. We're all in the same. The same passion. So
yeah, I tell my customers the same thing. Like, I'll be gone from here to here. So yeah, it's gonna sit. I don't know what to tell you. Sorry.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And they look at me like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Have fun.
Do you ever get like is there like a a lull at all in July, or is it like you're just playing? You're just still working on everything.
I'm
you've
still
got
catching
up to
up.
that point.
I mean, I'm still doing bears from last season because we took in over 80 bears last year. And I'm still finishing up moose too from last year. I think I got 6 or 7 left.
Wow.
And then plus, I mean, people still bring. It's weird. People will just take their trophy or whatever, set it outside in the snow, and leave it. And then once breakup hits, they're like, "Oh crap, this is gonna start stinking. Let's take it to someone else's house and let it stink there." So then I'll get an influx. I'll get an influx of moose, of all things moose. Right about what is it? March, April, right when breakup starts to hit. I mean, as soon as I can start seeing the tips of those antlers, we're like, uh-oh. And so yeah, it'll be 7, 8, 10 moose coming in, and I'm like, well, you'll get it back January, February. I don't know what to tell you.
Right.
Because yeah. So it happens every year.
Yeah.
My slow time is probably February to April. And then all of a sudden it just bam.
Do you get much as far as trappers bringing stuff in or predator hunters or anything like that?
I get a lot.
You get a lot, yeah.
Actually get quite a bit. I get I'm a member of the ATA. I do a lot with them. I donate a lot of stuff to their banquets and things like that. And I get a lot of skulls. I mean, a lot of their skulls is just a beetle. They'll bring it, beetle it up, and they'll bring me 30, 40 skulls a person.
Wow.
Just to beetle. And it's like, okay, cool. This is, And it's just so, I mean, I got 4 or 5 freezers just marked for this guy, this stuff, this and that, when they bring me in that many, it's just,
Right.
So the trappers, they bring me in all kinds of stuff, and it's awesome. And I mean, I support them as much as I can. I buy a lot of skulls from a lot of the local trappers.
Good.
To turn them, and they don't sell very well in Alaska, obviously, but I can sell them in lower 48 really, really good.
I can imagine. Something like a lynx skull or a fox or even
lynx, wolf, and wolverines. I can't keep them in stock.
Really?
It's insane. I mean, I bought 12 about last year, and they were gone before I could get them done.
No kidding.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's good turnaround. That's good
business.
It is.
I ain't complaining.
Right. Good problems to have.
Yeah. No arguments here. So, yeah.
Are you able to go into well, I'll ask you this. Give like a breakdown of what all you do, like what people like with skulls and things like that, as far as what the beetling process looks like, as much as you can without giving away like proprietary information.
I have no secrets.
Trade secrets.
I mean, you can ask Chris. I don't have nothing to hide because I literally am still learning on a daily basis. I'll tell you that. But I mean, it's really, you take everything off the skull as you can, as much meat as you can take off, the tongue, the brains, the eyes, all that stuff. Get rid of all that, take all the extra meat off, because you have no idea how much meat is on a skull. Holy cow. And then once all that's done, it goes in the beetles and they do their deal. Depending on the size of the skull, it takes 7 to 10 days, maybe a little bit longer depending on the size of the skull. And then it kind of depends on where I'm at with other skulls degreasing. Degreasing is the biggest time. It takes out the most time when you're doing European mounts and stuff like that. It can take somewhere between 6 weeks to 3-4 months, depending on how a really nasty grizzly bear will take forever.
What's that process look like as far as
well, I mean, all I use to degrease, the water's heated up constantly to about 120 degrees. I use soap and ammonia. And it literally, you change half the water out once a week until the skull comes out looking like it don't have any grease on it.
And it's just drawing all that out.
Yeah, it's just pulling all out. The soap is what it, the hot water obviously gets the grease to start loosening up. And then the soap breaks it down and starts pulling it out, and it just leaches itself out of the skull is what it does. I mean, every now and then I have some skulls that just don't want to come clean. And there's a couple other things I can do with those. They'll get soaked in like gasoline, to be honest with you, for about a week. And the gas actually doesn't hurt the skull, but it goes in and just breaks that gas down, or the grease down.
Right. Yeah.
And then you let it dry, throw it back in, and like start over, really.
Parts cleaner from the local automotive shop.
Oh yeah, I mean it's crazy, but I don't use any chemicals. I don't paint my skulls. I don't do none of that stuff. So it's all, and then I mean until it's done.
Yeah.
And if it's not done when I think it is, it goes back in until it is.
So
Yeah.
what's it look like, Tim, when like say that process isn't done right? So say you get a skull back, it's nice and white, and the degreasing process was kind of skimped on.
You'll start seeing, I don't want to say a light yellow, because actually a bone is not, or a skull is not white. It's actually like an off white. Is it actually its natural color? But you can tell the grease because you will start seeing really dark yellow spots in certain spots on the skull, depending on which skull it is, or it'll start turning black again. There's just it's really obvious that it's grease because you can touch it and feel it, and it'll feel completely different once you run your finger over that grease.
Really?
And yeah, I mean, it could take 6 months to 2 years before that stuff starts resurfacing, depending on how deep into the skull that grease is. But you'll instantly look at it and you'll know right away
Yeah.
that it's wasn't degreased 100%.
Does that cause any kind of like damage, like long term to the skull, like softening the bone or anything like that, or like not degreasing it properly, or is it just
no? It just
mars
looks
the
like
coloring?
it just looks like crap.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, yeah, it just, you can see the grease coming out, and it shows its ugly face. It just, like I said, it takes a little bit of time.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and sometimes it could happen in 6 weeks. You'll see
Yeah.
it real quick. So
Can you recover from that? Like if you were to then take it through the degreasing process, or is it too late?
No, you just got to come down, and depending on how the skull was sealed, there's a bunch of different ways that people seal skulls, and depending on, you just got to break it all the way back down the bone, take everything off that was put on it, and start the degreasing process over again. So and that's the biggest thing that I've noticed with a lot of my customers. You know, they ask me how long. I'm like, well, it's a minimum 6 to 8 months, and it might be a year.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, I ain't waiting that long. I'm like, okay, cool. Take it to somebody else, and I'll see you in about 5-6 months when I got to fix it. If you want it fixed. I mean, but, you know, I'm not saying I'm great at it, but I try really hard I don't want skulls coming back.
Right.
You know, and
Well, and just that attention to detail is everything.
yeah,
you know?
it is. And so, yeah, I mean, you can fix it, but it takes a lot longer because now that grease is really, it's in there, and you got to degrease it for a lot longer and it just takes a long time to do. So
I remember when I met you years ago, it was my first time dealing with you, and I brought you a bear skull, and you said, I said, cool, when can I get it back? And you said, I'll call you in 5 months or something like that. And I was like, what? And so I talked to a buddy of mine that he does skulls down south, and obviously the financial benefits are not there. Ship it to him, have him ship it back. He's like, fine, if you find it. So I'm like, hey, dude, this is what my skull guy told me. He's like, good. And I'm like, what do you mean good? Come on, you're supposed to have my back here, dude. And he's like, good. And he was like, if someone's giving you a skull back right here, right now, white, they're just getting over on you. And I said, really? And he goes, yeah. And he goes, that's good to hear, man. He's like, I would roll with that, dude. And I'm like, that's insane. And then I start doing homework, and I'm like,
right.
You're getting a skull back. Like, you get a skull back in like 2 weeks, 3 weeks. Something ain't right.
Yeah.
Because it's not possible from what you've taught me.
It's not. I mean, it literally, if someone gives you a bear skull back in a month, I don't know how they're doing it because it cannot be done in a month and a half. There's no way. If you're doing it right, it can't be done. And me and my wife have researched, and I'll tell you what, I've never read so much in my life, not even in high school. Never have I read so much to try and figure out how to do this. Because everything we did, I didn't go to school for this. This was all so much trial and error that we were like, and I did all my own stuff before I did anything to anybody else's skull. And I'm like, yep, worked on mine. Cool. Now we can do it on this one. And it was, trial and error, and the time frame, it takes that long to do. There's nothing you can do about it. If you want it back and you want it done right, yeah, that's what it's going to take.
Yep. Well, and quality does take time.
Yes.
No matter what
it doesn't matter
area
what you
of
do.
it is, and it's the same thing with like a bear rug. You could say, if there's a certain waiting period on that just from the crafting aspect of it,
Yep.
care and the preservation.
Mhm.
But kind of on that topic with like the that degreasing part, the other way to kind of clean a skull is boiling it, and that's what a lot of
Yep.
people when they DIY
Yep.
skulls, they'll do that.
Oh, yeah.
And some taxidermists will even do it. What's the difference you would say between the results you get short term and long term between boiling and beetling?
Boiling obviously actually can harm the skull pretty bad. Because some people think when you boil a skull, you actually boil it to where the water's 212 degrees and the water's just rolling. And that right there will destroy your skull in a heartbeat. It'll just get that bone way too hot. It'll start to get brittle, and it'll turn into you get a powder once it starts to dry out and everything. And then you lose the character of the skull when you boil. You lose all those nasal cavities. You lose everything inside. You lose the ear bones. The teeth start to fall apart and break, which I still have teeth that break, but they're just, the skull will fall apart, and it's just really harsh on the skull. If you're gonna boil, don't boil, simmer.
Right, yeah.
Or macerate. Maceration is another really good way to do it. Because maceration will also help you degrease. So, to macerate a skull takes, I think, I've never done it, so don't quote me. When I've read 10 to 14 days to macerate a skull, but it still has to be kept at 110 to 120 degrees to get all that meat to come off and everything like that.
Let me ask a dumb question.
There are no dumb questions.
What is that?
What is maceration?
I've never heard of that.
It's basically the same thing as how I kind of degrease, except for you don't put the soap and everything in the container. So you take a 5-gallon bucket, take your skulls, put them in there, and then you put a heater in there. Some way you heat the water however you care to, and you get it up to, like I said, that 120, and you leave it in there sealed completely. The bucket's closed. A lot of people use freezers. You close the freezer, and you keep it at that temp. And what it does is it just goes in, and all that meat just starts to get that hot and soaking in, and then it just falls off the bone.
Gotcha. Okay.
And then have fun opening that, because I believe maceration smells worse than my beetles. Just saying.
Oh man.
And so when you open it up, your skulls look great. They're halfway degreased. If not, some of them actually get all the way degreased, and then you have a bucket of goo that you have to dispose of. And then you know what that stuff will bring around here to your house. So it's a real good way. A lot of people do it. A lot of people macerate, and then a lot of people boil too. And it's just, I will never, ever, I won't even boil a skull cap.
Really?
Yeah, because it just makes the bone that brittle. And it's a skull cap, so you want to stay on the wall in one piece, and there's a chance it just could get weak and your antlers are falling off the wall.
Yeah. I know the big one I'd heard of was those nasal cavity bones, the real thin ones there.
They'll fall out to a point, but then you also got to, like a moose, you still got to take a pressure washer to it and knock it off. And as soon as you do that, you'll lose a lot. There are some people that are really good with a pressure washer. Don't get me wrong. But you still lose a lot of the nasal cavity. And then, like I said, you just lost half the character of the skull, in my opinion.
Right.
That's what you want to see when you do a Euro, is you want to see that whole, everything there. So
yeah. What's you've given the timeline for the beetling. Is that pretty standard is that like an average for no matter what size, or is it like if somebody was to bring you like a black bear versus a moose? Right.
Yeah, it's well, it depends on which beetle box I put it in. Because I have one that's unbelievable and it's quick, and I have a couple other ones that are they take their time. They really do. They're like, do I really want to eat this stuff today? No, I'm done. I'm done with these.
Picky eaters.
They get tired of moose. I'll tell you what. They do. It's really weird. I'll tell you what. Mine are picky. But a black bear, decent sizing, like Chris's black bear he brought in the other day, probably will take 7 to 8 days to get it beetled 100%. A moose, I've had them take up to almost 3 weeks.
Oh, yeah.
But that was towards the end of doing moose, and I'm dead serious. I think they just got tired of moose. And I'll put in something else. I'll put in a black bear, and it'll be done in 3 days.
Really?
And that moose is still sitting there. And I just don't understand it.
They're like, we can't work in this environment. These are not standard.
It just doesn't make sense to me, but I've sat and watched it happen, and it's crazy. And then so you're like, all right, cool. We'll throw a couple of these in there, and I'll take the moose out, and I'll rehydrate the moose, and then I'll put it back in after like 10 black bears, and then the moose is done. And I'm talking like in a day, and it should have took another week, and the moose is done, and
Wow.
So yeah, it's on average, like I said, it's 7 to 14 days, depending on it, or if I forget to take the brains out, heaven forbid. Yeah, that's not a good idea either. But yeah, it's quick. The beetling part is the quickest part of the whole process.
Yeah.
It's that degreasing that just kills you.
Mm-hmm.
But it's got to be done.
Yeah. Now, there's been tales of bleaching involved. Does that mitigate I know you said you don't use any chemicals. You don't do any coloring to the skulls.
Nope.
Will failing the degreasing process, that it'll go through that bleach too? The bleaching doesn't do anything to stop that, or will that kind of act as a protective layer?
Peroxide does nothing for grease to it. It doesn't even lighten it. And I use 35% peroxide, food grade peroxide.
Mm-hmm.
And all that's going to do is when you run it through the peroxide and whiten it, once it dries after about 4 or 5 days, if you missed or didn't see spots on the skull for the grease, you're going to see it if it's
really
not too deep. Yeah, you'll know. I mean, I used to put, when I first started, I used to take, after about 3-4 weeks of skulls degreasing, I would literally take, maybe a third of a cup, maybe less, of peroxide and dump it in my buckets, and that would help me kind of tell if they still need a more degreasing once I change the water out. And it actually worked really good. It just got to the point where the peroxide is really expensive. I don't buy it. It's cheaper to buy it in a 55-gallon drum than it is to buy it in a 5-gallon container, which you can't get 5-gallon containers up here anyway. You have to get them down. Actually, Wasilla has them. But yeah, it's just order a 55-gallon drum and go.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, the peroxide won't really, it does you nothing for the grease.
Gotcha.
At all.
Yeah.
All that does is whiten the skull, and that's it.
Hmm.
Nothing else.
I remember you gave me like a good rundown on how to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And you were real transparent. And I did like 2 lynx skulls and a fox. And I remember they were pearl white. And I was like, I don't need to take this stuff to Tim. I'm like, put them out on the boat, let them dry. Like 3 days later, I walk back by it. They're just brown and yellow. And I'm like, what the heck?
Yep.
I was like, all right, back to Tim's. I'm not doing this. I can't facilitate this. I don't have it. You're like, you got to degrease them, dude. And I was like, yeah, but like, they look good. And you're like, yeah, they will look good. It's just like terrible.
Yep, for a little bit. So
my wife's like, you did such a good job, honey. She's like, which one are those? I'm like, those are the ones I showed you like 3 days ago. Back to Tim.
Yep.
You can have them all.
Tried, got my butt kicked. Going to the pro.
I'm not good at this. And I don't want to try to get good at this.
Right. Got enough time-consuming hobbies, right? Yeah, that's my problem too.
Oh, like this is going to wear on my nerves.
Yeah.
This is not something I want to get good at.
No. And I love being that DIY guy. I do. Like, I love doing as much as I can on my own. But I have that problem where I overestimate what I'm capable of in a given amount of time.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'll schedule 3 days worth of stuff in one day and be like, oh yeah, it'll be easy. Yeah, we'll just go here, we'll do this, we'll do that. And I just don't account for the things going wrong, which they always do. And it's got to the point, my wife's just started calling me on it. I'm like, oh yeah, we're going to do so much this weekend. We're going to go out here, do this, do that. And she's like, sure we are. Yep. I'll prep for the first one and then we'll see how it goes from there.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
There's and like with that kind of, I've tanned my own hides and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I've got some that have come out pretty darn good, right?
Yeah.
And I've been able to whiten some skulls that have come out really good, but they're not professional grade. And there's just nothing that beats taking it to someone that specializes in it. You ain't going to make it happen.
Nope.
Been there, tried.
Yeah. Well, and it's like you talked about all the research you've done and the reading and all that. I mean,
yeah.
the amount of time it would take somebody to catch up to that, it's just not. Just pay the man.
Yeah.
Just pay the man.
I remember like going to Tim and I'm like, all my teeth cracked. And he's like, yep. I'm like, what do you mean? Yeah. Like, he's like, yep, that'll happen. And I'm like, well, what do I do? He's like, I'd have to explain it to you. And he's like, I might be able to find you some teeth. I'm like, I'm over it. I give up. I might have some teeth for you. Right. I suck at this. I'm done.
Oh man. Never be ashamed to pay the professional.
I'll never whiten another skull, and I'll never tan another fur.
Well, on that note, let's take a break real quick. Hammer Bullets produces what we at the Northern Hunter consider to be the most premium and best working monolithic bullets on the market today. These bullets are easy to load, extremely accurate, and best of all, they're always in stock and ready to ship. The guys at Hammer designed them so that after penetrating the hide of an animal, it sheds its petals, initiating a massive energy dump while retaining the rear shank for maximum penetration. These bullets are built with 100% focus on how they perform on game, and their proprietary designs produce great BCs with specialized pressure grooves for amazing inherent accuracy and speed. They have a minimum expansion velocity of 1,800 feet per second, which allows for long-range shots, but with no maximum velocity, making them perfect for every cartridge from your granddaddy's old 30-30 to the high-velocity round like the Weatherby 30-378 without having to worry about your bullet failing. To view their expansive selection and find the perfect match for your hunting needs, go to hammerbullets.com and use discount code TheNorthernHunter to drop the hammer on your next adventure. All right, so I want to pick your brain about like the process a little bit more. You've talked a lot about the how long it takes and kind of the process of getting the skull finished. But man, I gotta say, so Mo, your dad has beetles, and I've been over to his house to do some processing before and whatnot, and beautiful setup he's got over there. But you walk behind the processing shed or the shop you guys have, and man, it just smells horrid. Like it smells so bad. But so I was kind of curious. I've always been really curious about the actual like beetles themselves. So like, do you know like what kind of beetles there are, or like what if there's multiple kinds?
Well, the ones I use they're called dermestide beetles, and they're itty bitty. They're I don't even know, maybe a 1/4 inch long. They're really small.
Okay.
They're not that big. They got a lifespan of about, I think it's 4 months.
Oh, really? Okay.
But they reproduce worse than rabbits.
Gotcha.
So I mean, I'm dead serious.
I've raised rabbits, so I'm familiar with that.
It's insane how fast they reproduce, and it's just, I mean, it's constant. It's really weird to sit and watch them, you know. So yeah, I did a lot of research when I got them because I didn't know nothing about them, except for all I know is I had to feed them, and then along came everything else I went with it. I mean, they got to be in a certain temp, they got to have a certain humidity. Because if the humidity gets too high, you can get mites and stuff like that. Up here, I'm not sure how the mites, if
it's as big of a
if it's
concern.
even a possibility up here.
Right.
But there are other beetles already, that are native to up here that are meat-eating beetles, just like there is anywhere else. But I do have a few of those. It's hard to, once they're there, and by the time you notice them, you're SOL. To get them out, you basically got to shut down the whole box, kill everything in it, or save as many as you can, and then the rest is pretty much toast just to get them out. And I got over 2 million beetles.
Wow.
There is no way I'm killing one box. And it's not like they're killing each other. They're all doing the same thing, so they're still all doing me a favor. You know?
Right.
So,
well, and I've heard some people talk about it. I mean, even just getting a fly in there, it unbalances everything to the point. Like,
it does, but it's almost impossible to not get them in there.
Right.
Because, I mean, September up here it can be 75 degrees during moose season. And then as soon as moose season's over, it's bam, it's freezing again. But once you put one moose in there that has one fly, and those things lay eggs and they hatch really quick too, there's nothing you can do.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to keep the flies out of there it's impossible.
That's probably as constant as you're tending to your beetles. Huh? It's just dealing with those flies because.
Yeah.
There have been days you don't walk in. I don't walk into my beetle shop with my mouth open. Because there have been, I mean, it's not like that every day, but there are days you do that, you go whatever, and you open the door and you walk in and it's just flies and you're just like, this is going to be a bad day.
It was cool when we went in there the other day when I followed you in there because I've never seen anything like that. I was like, whoa, there's a lot to this.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, you need to have some space for this.
And it actually didn't stink that bad that day either. It wasn't. I didn't think it was that bad.
It smelled.
You might have.
Smelled horrible.
I don't know. I got
Nose
customer.
blind.
Yeah, I got customer. No, I am. It took me a month, and I literally don't. I can smell it, but I don't. It doesn't register. It's like, yeah, okay, cool, whatever. And if I smell something that's bad in there, something's really wrong.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I can tell if I forgot to take the brains out, or I put a skull in there I didn't think was that bad, and it's just terrible.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so
yeah.
Those native beetles, are those the yellow and black ones?
yes.
Mhm.
Yeah, because I've seen with like predator skulls and stuff, I'll leave them in a bucket.
Mm-hmm.
And, till I have like enough of them, it'll start warming up and I'll start seeing those things. And they're spooky looking.
Yeah, they're really, I mean, they're gnarly looking beetles.
Yeah.
But they're 3/4 of an inch long.
Yeah.
And I had to send them down because I got a buddy down in Wasilla that does the same thing I do. And I'm like, dude, what in the heck is this? He goes, oh yeah, I get them all the time. Just let them go. They're just going to eat. They're just going to help. I'm like, what? He goes, yeah, you can't get rid of them. So
and they don't compete with each other.
No, they don't compete. They're
yeah,
and they don't. I'm assuming they don't reproduce as fast because I don't have a lot of them. Because I will kill them if they're outside or whatever, on the floor or whatever. I will kill them, but they don't compete. They help me out.
Yeah, I get them in my. I've got them in my stink buckets at bear baits and stuff like that.
Yeah.
What's crazy is the amount that they seem to reproduce in there.
Do they
like the rotten stuff? They like the rotten stuff.
Oh wow.
Which might be different than
it might be.
I mean, because the dermestid usually die with a lot of rotten stuff, don't they? Like start to defecate a lot.
Yeah, if you get a lot of nasty stuff in there, they will start. You got to clear. That's what I got to do. I was actually supposed to do that last month. I actually have a box I have to clean out because it's the original box and all they call it frass, all the beetles, the dead beetles, and everything else that's in the bottom of that. I think it's probably about 10, 11 inches deep.
Wow.
So yeah, it's gotta come out, and I'm dreading it. I don't want to. I don't want to do it. It's like changing that very first diaper ever that you don't want to do.
Right.
It's terrible.
That's really interesting about the local ones. I know I hadn't actually heard of those ones, but my buddy, we were talking about him before the show. My buddy down in Arizona, he's got a little farm, and that's what he does. Is whenever he has an animal that he wants to skull out, he'll literally put it on the ground, put a 5-gallon bucket over it, and he'll just come back like 2 weeks later and it's clean.
Yeah.
Because they've got the natural ones down there too.
Those we had stink buckets last year.
Mm-hmm.
That we kind of on the fly, we had lids on them, and we pulled the lids off because we were going to put them in like pillowcases and all that. And we were moving, we were setting baits, and we were running 4 baits between the two of us. But I remember we looking in that bucket and seeing a couple of those beetles. And then I remember like the bears going and eating those beetles out of the bucket while we were sitting in the bait station. Cause I'm like, what are those things eating? Like there's nothing in there anymore, but all those buckets had those beetles in the bottom of them, like just loads of them. And they look gnarly.
I don't know if
bears
I would
would come in and just hard charge those things.
I don't know if I would want to eat a flesh eating thing. Like a bear is one thing, like when you're, it's obviously dead and ground up when you eat it, but like a beetle, if you swallowed a flesh eating beetle whole,
yeah. Well,
I can't imagine that would go too well for you.
I don't know. They only eat dead things. I mean, I'll stick my hands in the boxes and grab the skulls out, or I'll move them around. Or if I got a really delicate skull I got to do, I'll literally scoop up a bunch of them and put them in the container with the skull, and they don't
mess with it.
They don't do
they're not piranhas.
All they're doing is what they want to do is get away from the light because they don't like the light. Because I'll open the boxes up and you can just see them scatter. They'll just take off the skull and run and go wherever the heck they go.
You're right.
But yeah. So they don't eat nothing alive.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And you were saying like, so they only live 4 months ish.
Roughly, yeah.
But from the sounds of it, you keep them year round and you just let them breed and
Yeah,
die
they're-
and breed
yep.
and die and breed and die.
Yeah, I don't buy any more. I haven't bought any since my original purchase, and then obviously I've expanded to 3 boxes, and it's just I could do a 4th, but I can't keep up with a 4th. There's just no way.
Yeah.
So no, they just keep reproducing, and I just keep on feeding them.
Has it ever gotten to a point where they've reproduced too much for the boxes you've got, like or do they kind of like pause after a while?
No, I mean, there is every year I'll hit a I don't know what, it's like a dead time for them to where they actually won't even eat either. It's like I mean, it depends on, sometimes one year it was what was it, almost a month, which really was not good. But then 2 weeks to a month, they just quit eating, and why, I don't know. I haven't really researched that. And then all of a sudden, it's just they're starving. And they go to town. It's really weird. I mean, I've had to literally call customers up and go, I don't know what to tell you. I can't even. There's nothing I can do.
Maybe that's their breeding
Wow.
cycle.
I think
I was gonna say, I'm curious if that's like just an annual thing they go through.
I think it's related to like, because in the wild they'll like even like almost hibernate for like winter months, right?
Mhm.
So it's probably just like a really, really slow, really fast version of that.
Mm-hmm.
That very well could be. Yeah.
Cold, and it's all messed up because they're in a warm place all the time. So it just
Right. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. Like I said, I never researched it, but that sounds good to me.
Yeah.
It sounds good to me.
Well,
but-
and other animals will do that too, like chickens up here. Like if you try to keep chickens in Alaska, like they'll get all off their cycle because of the total darkness
Yeah.
or the total daylight, and they won't know when to.
they
when
won't
to
always lay,
or,
right?
Oh, yeah.
They'll go completely. They won't lay an egg for a month if you don't do anything. Like keep them in a blacked out area
Yep.
for 12 hours and then let them
Yeah.
out in the daylight for 12 hours. Rabbits are the same way. I used to raise meat rabbits, and when it gets really hot outside, rabbits reproduce every month. They're not a once a year kind of thing. But if it gets too hot for too long, that'll tell them, okay, this is not the breeding time. And so then they'll stop breeding. You got to keep them shaded, keep them cool, keep them in an area.
Okay.
And so it would make sense if if it was something along those lines.
Yeah. It wouldn't surprise me that that's not what it is. So
That's fascinating.
yeah, they are really interesting. They're really cool.
Are there like do other people use different kinds? Is that kind of more like a regional type of beetle we use?
No,
here, or
that's
is it just the stand. Is that like the industry standard?
Yeah, well, the guy I bought them from, he bought them from a guy that sells them down lower 48.
Mhm.
So, and that's all that guy does is sell dermestide beetles.
Okay, gotcha.
I don't know if there's maybe a different a different breed or something like that, but everything I've read, these are the best beetles to use for cleaning skulls.
Awesome.
So yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that small and as fast as that you're saying they reproduce, I'm sure they get into every nook and cranny of those skulls. So.
Yeah, I'll never get 100% of the beetles out of a skull. There is no way possible. No way. They get into places that I don't even know how they got there, to be honest. You're looking at it and you're like, how in the world? There's not even there's no way you could have got there. It's impossible, but yeah, they're there and I can't get them out.
Do they just die in there?
They die.
Yeah.
I mean, I will literally I'll be getting the, after it's whitened, everything, I'm gluing the teeth in and I'm going to get ready to seal the skull. And I look at it and I'm like, it's really weird. You can tell in some places on the skull that there's a beetle in there. It's not grease. It's not blood. It's not nothing. It's a beetle or 4 or 5 of them, but you can't figure out how they got there. And then if you can't figure out how they got there, you sure the heck ain't going to get them out of there.
Right.
So you're just, okay, cool. You're going to stay there until decompose and it's gone. But
turn to dust.
Yeah, it happens a lot. And yeah, there's no way you're going to get 100% of the beetles out of every skull. They will be dead, but you're not going to get them out.
Gotcha.
I got a question for you, Tim. So like boiling versus beetling, is there more stuff that you can't access when you boil than you? Because it would seem that those beetles could really get places. Obviously, you can't.
Yeah, I don't 100% know because I've never boiled. I'm sure down in probably some of the in the roots of the or even in the ear canals and stuff like that. Some of it might be left. I've seen on some Euro mounts, I've seen brain matter left in the skull.
Yeah.
I've seen meat in the nasal cavity that you already blew everything else out of it. How'd you miss the piece of that? I mean, it's a big chunk of meat too. Left in there. So I'd have to say yes, but I'm not 100% sure.
I gotcha.
You know, my beetles will go in and how they get down into the roots of the teeth without the teeth completely falling out in the beetle box surprises me. I mean, every now and then I'll have a tooth fall out. And believe it or not, the beetles actually make some of them teeth, the smaller teeth, they'll disappear. Gone.
Really?
I will not get them back. And it's frustrating because that's the one thing I try really hard is to not lose teeth because, you know, you don't want to do that. But yeah, how they get into some of them places and get all that cleaned up it's just crazy.
Yeah.
And it's just, but they get everything. There's no doubt in my mind.
That's insane.
But yeah, to your question, Chris, I'm not, you know, I'm sure there's stuff left in when you boil because you're not going to get even pressure washing it. You're not going to get into the ears and all that stuff to get it out. And how it would, you know, I don't know. If look at some of your skulls I did and look into there and all, you know, you'll
start finding them.
Yeah, you might, but you're not going to find any meat.
There you go.
Tim whitened this beetle.
That happens quite often.
I can imagine.
It happens quite often.
I've read some stuff about I've read some stuff about how some of there's like those jaw sinuses and stuff like that. There's some of those little cavities and stuff where those beetles will like get that stuff out. And I've read different guys talking, and obviously I don't know anything about this, but where that'll help in the end, because that if flesh gets left behind, you're kind of contending with degreasing that spot over and over again. I guess would be the way to
because there's been a lot of times when I'm pulling a skull out and I'm because I use compressed air and blow all the beetle, you know, blow them out of the skull and everything and this and that. And there's been times where I'm done, I'm good to go, and I hit those spots you're talking about, and nothing but goo comes out of that. And I mean, it's I don't even know, it's just nasty. So it's like, yep, straight back in. You know, I fill it back in, and 3-4 days later, it's gone. Because it's sometimes they just, I don't know, they just didn't get there yet, or you know, I don't know, but yeah. It just takes a couple more days and then that's all gone. Cause you know, at least I do, when you're blowing the skull out and all that stuff, when that stuff starts coming out, you just got to put it back in.
Right.
You know, to get that out, because it will, even the skull, even degreasing can take it out, and you know, but it still can kind of get left in there if you don't get it out with the beetles, and then it will stink after a while. And that stuff I mean, it's atrocious what that stuff can do. Just a smell.
And I've run into that at like friends' houses and stuff like that, where they've commented on like moose Euro mounts, or sorry, freedom mounts that and they commented on that. They said, yeah, after like 4 to 5 months, it just started stinking, you know,
yep. There's still grease. I mean, grease will stink too. If it's left if it's in the right spots, like behind the eyes or in the eye cavity from the eye sockets for the moose. Terrible place to degrease, because it just takes so long. Because when you take the eyes out, there's a lot of meat, fatty tissue back there, and I mean it just sits there for, you know, obviously forever, and it just soaks into that skull,
right?
And it takes so long for that to get out. So yeah, if you don't get it all the way out of the bone, yeah, it's gonna stink.
Yeah,
it's terrible.
There is a lot of fat back there, because you see like where people, when they're dressing like caribou out and stuff, they'll pull that eye out, and there's that like doughy fat back there that a lot of people eat.
Yeah,
that stuff's like, it's like a different kind of fat,
right?
Yeah. I've seen Steve Rinella eat that, and I'm like, there ain't no way I'm eating that. You can forget it. I don't care what it tastes like. Not happening.
I'd try it. I don't know. I haven't really.
I think I've tried it.
I haven't had the presence of mind like anytime I've been dressing out a caribou to do that, like fresh on the spot, I'm usually in a rush because I'm getting shot at, right?
Yeah.
But
As a caribou, so people are throwing lead. Yeah.
Yep.
But one of these days, I wouldn't mind trying it.
I think I want to say I've tried it, but I may not.
It's
I don't remember.
really good.
Yeah.
And you can eat it raw.
Yeah,
Mhm.
right.
That's
Just-
what
yeah.
everybody does, fresh, right there,
Yep, right
right there.
there.
I
and
had a
there.
buddy take it out, and he's like, here, dude. And I was like, dude, and there was like a little blood. I was like, oh man. I'm like, I'm not doing this. He's like, come on, dude. And I was like, are we gonna get sick? And like, for real, are we gonna get sick? I'm like, I got a busy week, dude. He's like, no, dude, eat it. It's really good. And then I was like, what are you doing the other one? He's like, that one's mine. But it was good.
I've heard it tastes like pastry dough.
It's almost
is what
dough.
like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like if you like grab a chunk of like pie crust dough or like some of the, like that croissant dough raw,
Mhm.
it's really good though.
Mm.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're trying to survive, that'd be a good thing to suck down. Like,
Oh, sure.
If you
Well,
were
I'm
on the
sure.
move.
Well, even the eyes too.
Yeah.
I mean, take the eyes with it if you're trying to survive. I mean,
Yep.
there's nutrients and all kinds of stuff when you're in
Oh,
survival
yeah.
mode.
Yeah. Yeah. No. Not unless I absolutely have to.
That's actually a good transition for my next question because I was going to ask you, with there being certain lulls, you'd mentioned like sometimes in the middle of the winter and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
How long can these beetles go without eating? Like, I mean, before they start dying off.
Usually they fly out of the box if there's no food in there,
Oh, really?
which takes about a day. So I mean, I've
No
had
kidding,
them.
that
Yeah,
quick?
they'll start flying out. So I've never ran into where they ran out of food for that long.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd probably have to say 2 or 3 days. But I have literally, if they just ate cleaned a skull really quick or anything like that, and it's gone before I think it is, I'll open the box and they'll start flying out because they're like, I gotta go find food.
No kidding.
And then so they'll be flying around and I'll put food back in, and if they're flying in the box, they'll just go right back to the food.
Mm-hmm.
But if they're already out, they're off to someplace else to to
Reproduce
find
in the
food.
wild. Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. So yeah, but it's for me to run out of food would probably be a really big problem.
Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, from the sounds of it, you've got
Yeah,
plenty
I've
of
got-
backstock.
yeah, I've got plenty of backstock. I mean, you can't imagine how much meat comes off a skull. There's a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So I just hang on to all that I cut off and keep it froze. And when I'm gone or whatever, that's what my wife uses to feed.
Okay.
Feed the beetles and everything. And I got a chest. I think it's a 7 cubic foot chest freezer full of cutoffs and stuff like that from all the skulls.
How much will you said you have what 2 million beetles?
I'm estimating, 2 million.
Estimating?
Yeah.
How much do they eat like per day? You think? Like,
Well, let's see. I got 3 boxes. I know I've thrown 5 pounds of meat into one of them, and it's gone the next morning.
really?
Yeah. Depending on, like I said, the 3 boxes, I got one that is phenomenal. I can put 8-9 skulls in there and leave for a week and a half, and I'll come back and they're completely clean. They're done within a certain amount of time, so my wife has to feed them again, but they're gone. The meat's gone, the skulls are clean, and everything's good. I got my other 2 really big boxes. They're a little bit slower. One probably because it needs to be cleaned out, and the other one I literally just started. I built that roughly about a year ago, maybe a little over a year, and it's still taken. It's such a big box. It's taken a while to get that one filled up, and so the beetles are, there's enough beetles in there to do an actual moose skull or
Right.
something like that. I can do the smaller ones in there, but once it comes to a moose, it kind of takes a little bit longer in that box. But also that box, I can put my bigger moose in too, because I can fit up to roughly an 80-inch bull moose in that box.
Nice.
The other one, I think 70. Well, the 74 didn't fit. I think right around 70, I can fit in there comfortably and not have it a lot of pressure on the walls and stuff from the antlers and then the tip of the nose.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's cool. What about your dad, Mo? He keeps his beetles year round too, right?
Yeah. I mean, I'm assuming you've got a separate building for yours.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, he's just got basically an insulated shed, and he just heats the whole shed. He's got
Oh.
he's got a couple small chest freezers. He doesn't do anything big usually.
Yeah.
hardly. So if he does, he just
What's he keep him fed with year round? I mean, since he's not like full blown like
I
doing
mean,
it as a business.
you know, I mean, we kill enough animals. He'll just keep.
True.
He'll
Yeah.
grab enough scrap meat and throw it in the freezer. You know,
Mhm.
basically the same thing that they'll eat any meat.
They'll
right?
eat, yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Like he's like, you know, somebody had some like I remember one year he had like a turkey neck. that
Oh
somebody had.
yeah.
He's
like,
oh.
right.
Oh, I'm running low on beetle food here. Let me take that. You know, it's
Mhm.
freezer burn or whatever. And
That's a good point. I didn't even think about that. Like all of that stuff that you just don't really have a
Everything.
personal use for.
I mean,
Yeah.
I get guys that call me up and ask me if I want the carcasses. Their
Right,
carcasses,
yeah.
you know, caribou or this or that. And, you know, I'll take one or two every now and then, like every other year. I mean, I still got moose bones in my freezer I think they're 3 years old. Because I
Mhm.
just don't get, I don't get to them, you know.
Uh-huh.
And I just found them the other day. I was like, cool, I still got these. What the heck am I going to do with them?
Mm.
Right.
Yeah, right.
You know, so if your dad needs any extra, gosh, let me know. I got plenty.
Yeah.
Trust
I
me,
mean,
plenty.
I think if he needed it, he would have asked before I hauled my bear carcass off the other day. So
Yeah. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's crazy. You throw a carcass in there and you come back and it's all laying flat, all still
Mhm.
where it's supposed to be. If it's a big enough carcass, you know, it's all the bones are all kind of laid out, and it's really cool to see that. It's just okay, cool. Take a picture because if this is what you're doing, you got to know how to put it back together.
right.
You know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I've used beaver carcasses. If I had to, I've used one before when I was first starting out. And that took a while for them to eat because they'll eat everything, but it takes a beaver. It took them a minute to eat it.
A
Mm.
couple weeks or
Yeah, a couple weeks, but it fed them the whole time. I had to worry about.
Right,
I didn't
right.
have to worry about it. So
Well, that's good. That's good.
I got a question for you, Tim. How do you ever do? I know you do everything, pretty much. How does like a bear baculum compare to like a bear skull? Is it the same process? Because I know a lot of
Yeah.
people whiten baculum,
yes,
and you see like people do it with like marten baculum and stuff.
Yeah.
Well, and I
well,
thought
there's
of-
that person right
Mine just-
over there. They sell the earrings.
Yeah, right by my house.
Yeah.
And that's like kind of an odd. But I mean, it's all part of this, right? Like,
yeah. I mean,
and
yeah.
like the other day, I was my funny enough, we were when I was finishing up some of that fleshing stuff from mine, that was still in there. So I threw it up on the fleshing beam and like got the knife and my son, he's like, Daddy, what is that? And then I'm like, so I tell him, like very, very condensed PG explanation. And
Right.
he's like, cool. And he like takes it and splits with it. And he's like showing it to my wife. And she's like, what is that? And she's like, oh my gosh. So I was like, hey buddy, why don't you put that down on the bow of the boat here? And so the other day I'm outside tinkering and I see that and I was like, shoot, I forgot to give that to Tim because I want to whiten it. I'm like,
it's funny you say that. You know how many of those I get?
Really?
Somewhere between 5 and 10 a year.
Wow.
Dead serious.
From a bear?
Yeah.
Really?
Yes, my neighbor across the street, Ethan, he started it. And then all of a sudden it was like, oh, can you do this too? And I'm like, are you kidding? So yeah, it just literally, I think I got 4 or 5 in already this year.
I got another one for you.
That's funny.
That's awesome.
How I killed my first bear, and my dad was like, "You know what that is? Yeah, here. This is for stirring your coffee."
Sure.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
My wife sent a picture of that of him running around the yard with that thing to my mom, and I can't remember what mom said, but I don't think she was real impressed. Take that away. So, like, what's that process look like? Do they they degrease pretty good? And
Yeah, but they got I degrease them in I don't degrease them in the regular salt or the regular water and soap. They get put in acetone
Mm.
because believe it or not, it's actually really brittle. So the acetone works. You put it in there for about a week and a half, 2 weeks. Take it out, and I let it dry completely, and then goes back in until it looks right, and then whiten it and seal it. Call it a day.
yeah,
So-
I wanted to make like a coffee stirrer out of mine. And just like when I give a buddy a cup of coffee from like out of state or something,
Oh, man.
here you go, buddy.
I'll make sure I don't seal it.
Food safe.
Food grade ceiling. Yeah, there you go.
Anybody,
Well-
if you go to Chris's house, don't drink the coffee.
Don't let him give you a stir stick. All right.
Ask for a spoon.
Question everything.
Question everything.
Oh man.
Yes. No, and I see like the reason I ask is because I'm trying to use more of everything, and then I see like you see those earrings,
Mm-hmm.
and kind of like you, James, you got like you and your wife, you guys are always talking about like always throwing me new ideas. What you're going to use stuff for, and I'm like,
yeah.
and there's a lot of uses for stuff, and
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and like yes, it's funny, but I mean, you could just chuck that. Or you
Yeah.
could save it. You could make a piece of jewelry out of it. Or
Yep.
I know people make stuff out of like Martin
Oh, yeah.
baculum and
Yeah,
a lot.
absolutely.
And so
Yep.
You know, and it's kind of funny because like it's a throwback thing, right? Like to like the way it used to be. And there's if you go to a lot of different places like the different museums and whatnot, there's breakdowns of what like the natives used to use each part of an animal for, on a caribou, on a moose, on a bear, on whatever they take, right?
Yeah.
And like, oh, this part goes to this tool, or this part goes to this kind of clothing typically, or this part goes to this. And it's literally everything, right? And like in the modern day and age, you don't have to do that. You know, we're not clothing ourselves with buckskin clothes. We're not, doing stuff like that. But there's things you can do that are fun, and it's like why not? You killed the thing. You might as well use as much of it as you can. Like,
Well,
yeah.
Yep.
and to us, it's just kind of that. It's it's just the fun of it. Really, it's kind of that throwback to wow, you can use this for whatever it is. Like, I don't plan on having, in my old age, I don't plan on having 30 to 50 bear hides hanging on a wall. I plan on having a few of my best ones up there, but the rest, I want to make boots out of them. Heck, I want to make those little Arctic mittens, stuff like that. Like, why not? That's cool. Like, especially if you get, I mean, sure, there's nothing wrong with an average size interior bear if that's what you're proud of and that's what you got. Like, absolutely, I'm just as proud of you. But like for me, like if I get another 5.5 footer, I'm going to try and make something out of it. I don't need to hang that one up. Like so. I just think that's
cool.
fun.
You don't need to treat it the same either.
Yeah.
I mean, unless you're going to use like the head for something. I mean,
sure. Yeah.
You could do like take it to a taxidermist and have them like mount the head, and then that could be the top of your head.
Yeah.
Turn it into a bear hat.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I've seen some crazy stuff.
I've seen them.
Like instead of those
Stuff.
tassels with the balls, just have the front paws hanging down.
Right. Exactly. But no, it's all fun stuff, and yeah. So that's my little thing on that.
It's funny. It's funny you say that, Chris, because my dad has a lynx hat with the front paws and the lynx hanging out.
That's
the
the
front
first time I ever seen that. There's a guy that used to walk around town with one of those.
Yeah.
I remember that
You
guy.
remember that guy?
Yeah.
And like horrible taxidermy job on the head, but you just still respected it. You're like, that guy's got a whole lynx on
I
his
don't think
head.
he's got I don't think my dad has a face on it. It's just like fur, but then it's got the paws hanging out the
Mhm.
front. Yeah.
I think I'd take that to my taxidermist and have him do like the rug mount for the head,
Yeah.
and then take it over to my hat guy, and that would be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Get
buddy.
a spendy hat.
Yeah,
Yes, it would be.
You drop it.
I've heard the one problem with making like lynx hats or even beaver hats and stuff like that is like you only put that on when it's -30 or colder. Like, because even in -20, you'll just
Oh, I'm sure
sweat.
you're sweating.
Yeah,
I'm
it's just
sure.
so warm.
Actually,
but-
really nice. I grew up running beaver hat, running snow machine for when we're like trapping and stuff.
Mhm.
Mhm.
I don't know. I mean, I went and bought my 4-wheeler, and the banker's like, "So you're gonna go buy a helmet?" And I was like,
I got one better.
"I've been riding wheelers for as long as I can remember. I've never put a helmet on."
Mhm.
It's like, "But it's so dangerous." Like, well, I don't race and jump these things, right? I'm running through the woods at usually max at 10 miles per hour.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I might hit the road and you're like, "Oh, 50 miles an hour. Okay, slow down. Let's go."
Yeah.
Mhm.
But anyway, it's the same thing on a snow machine. I hate wearing a helmet on a snow machine
Yeah.
and dealing with lens or goggles and like that fur around your eyes, just over the top with the face mask up underneath, is almost all you need to protect your face. And so, for that kind of when you're just outside like that, we would always take the side flaps and roll them up around the back, tie them up in the back.
Yep.
Mhm.
That way you're not sweating as much and they're not in the
Yeah.
way and everything flops
And a
around.
lot
Yeah.
of that stuff is like like frost resistant kind of too.
Oh, yeah.
So you
Oh,
don't
yeah.
get that frost built up around
Yep.
your eyes or anything.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's good stuff. One day
That's
I'll have
good,
one
like-
that I don't have to pay for.
I kind of like
Yeah.
traditionally beaver hunt in my beaver hat.
Yeah,
Nice.
But
yeah,
it's
buddy.
like still cold enough out that it works really good.
Yeah.
I mean, there's been years where Carl's got this it's sick. It's a seal fur hat.
Oh, cool.
Ooh.
I mean, and it is
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
a whole nother level of warmth.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I mean, right? Like
Yeah.
Is that legal?
It is. Yeah.
Well,
One-
yeah,
I'm just
it's-
kidding. I'm just
it's
kidding.
processed and it's purchased
Once it's
from,
been processed
Right,
by an
right.
artist, you can buy it.
Right.
yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm just joking.
There's a lady up in Barrow that does really good work. I thought about buying stuff from her. I don't know the name of her shop right now, or I'd give her a shout out. But
but
anywho.
yeah, but that's a good. I mean, you can use that a lot of the time too, though. That's more
Mhm.
useful
Mhm.
than just winter,
yeah,
like
Yeah.
on a boat and even early bear bait
I would
sits.
say I'm
if
sure
you're really
for
getting it.
wind, I'm sure it's
Oh,
real
dude.
nice.
Oh yeah, gotta
Yeah.
be.
But so
Yeah.
you were talking earlier about the boxes you've got that could fit certain size moose.
Yeah.
I had a question: is caribou any harder to fit in boxes just because of like more height than?
No,
Then
it's
width?
actually not the height on a caribou. It is the width that's a bigger pain.
Is it really?
Yeah. I mean, I've had some monsters in, and just trying to get them in there right to where the antlers aren't getting pushed in or anything like that because you know how caribou antlers are. So I can't put them in there just straight down and good to go. I gotta literally try and figure out how to get them in there on a lot of them,
Mm,
just so there's not a lot of pressure on the antlers pushing on the walls.
gotcha. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, they're not usually as bad. This year, like I said, the one I had issues with this year he was no less than 4 foot wide.
Wow.
I mean, it was the biggest boo I have
Good
ever
night.
got in. I mean, it was insane. Gorgeous animal.
Mm,
And yeah, I had issues getting that in. Just to where, like I said, so I didn't mess up the antlers or get, so it didn't sit in there wrong and stuff like that.
yeah.
Moose are actually a bigger pain than anything else. Getting them put in the box is just because how far they obviously the spread, and then how far they come back, and that's the biggest thing. Plus, I mean, a moose skull itself is over 2 foot long.
Mhm.
So you got that, and then you got the antlers coming back. Some of the moose are they go back 3.5 feet, and it's just the box just isn't wide enough for that.
Right. Yeah.
So they're trying to get that situated, and that's why I built that other one that's 4x8. Actually, that one's 5x8. Just for that reason is to
Mm.
get those bigger moose in there. So because I was starting to get in, because last year I got a 74 in, and that was pushing it. I mean, the paddles were really long, but they weren't super wide. But still, it was I'm glad I built that other box. Otherwise, I don't know how I would have got it done.
Hmm.
Oh.
Have you ever had to cut the antlers off of anything to get it to fit? Or?
Not to fit, no.
No,
The only time I
yeah.
cut antlers off is when they got velvet on them. And they want the velvet preserved.
That was going to be my very next question: is if velvet was safe or not?
No.
No. Yeah.
No. Not even. So the beetles will eat soft bone. They'll eat the velvet like no other. That'll be
Really?
gone before it'll be gone. So then plus once they eat the velvet, they'll eat the antler too.
Then it's soft. Yeah, because it's soft.
Because it's
underneath.
soft.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, even the ones that I've removed the velvet and then had to restain the antlers. I had to make sure, and the antlers sat out for I think 2.5 months to harden, and I still had to do antler repair because the beetles still ate some of the antler, and it wasn't
Mhm.
just a little bit to where I'm like, I could probably get away with it. It was, I mean, the tips. There was 2.5 inches gone on the tips that they just
Wow.
ate off of off a couple caribou because it was just really soft, and I thought they were hardened up and everything, but they still took care of it for me.
Wow.
So yeah, I'm not big on velvet. I'll tell you
Mhm.
right now, it's no
Yeah.
no.
Well, and I know the process of preserving velvet is hard enough as it is. I mean, with transportation and to and from the field and stuff like that.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
it's like, yeah.
Yep.
Can only imagine that adds a whole nother level.
Oh yeah, it's crazy, and just getting it preserved. I mean, it's a lot of work just getting it preserved after you done all that work to get it from the field. And you got to do it quick too. You can't can't wait 3 or 4 days. If you get one in velvet, you got to get that going as soon as you possibly can.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's more than 3 or 4 days, you're kind of way behind the 8 ball already.
Right.
So I mean, it's get it in, get it done, get the antlers cut off, and get them down to whoever does it. Now I'm not 100% sure who's going to be doing it this year.
Mm-hmm.
I know 2 guys that used to do it. Besides, is it Al?
Al,
The tannery.
Yeah.
Albert.
Besides him, I know 2 guys that used to do it. I don't know who still does. So yeah, but it's got to get done quick. And if you say you try and use that self-injection stuff out in the field, the formaldehyde mixer, stuff like that,
right.
and you do that in the field, don't bring it to me. I can't do nothing with it. Even if I cut the antlers off, I still can't beetle your skull. Because that stuff gets into the skull and it'll kill my bugs.
No kidding.
I'm not taking the chance of what it would cost me to get back to where I'm at now for beetles.
Right.
I don't have that much money.
No. Yeah.
So
I'm sure. I hadn't thought about that because I'd seen those like little spray bottles people can take out in the field and stuff like that to try and get it hardened up a little bit so it doesn't get damaged in transport.
Right.
But
it'll kill everything in my box.
Wow.
So no thanks. Do not want to do that.
Yeah. No, that's a bad ordeal.
Yeah, real bad. So
So I had one question about the building, kind of to wrap up on the box things.
Yep.
Obviously, I mentioned earlier how I went to your dad's house, Mo, and just it wasn't like bad outside the building per se, but man, when that door got opened,
it's just a normal smell.
Yeah,
it hits you.
I don't know what everybody's
Walk in
talking
and be
about.
like, I mean, I smell it, but
yeah. But is there like, do you have to like, do you ever get complaints, or do you have to like?
To be honest, my neighbors, no, not one of them. Complain. My next door neighbor that he found out we were doing it, and his wife was really not too mad, but she was mad at the time. And then about 9 months into it, we were talking, and she's like, I don't even smell them.
Mm-hmm.
She goes, maybe if the wind blows this way really bad, I will just get a hint and done. But she goes, I haven't smelt them things at all.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, how, I don't know, because I have had customers, I want to see the beetles. And I'm like, okay, rule number 1 is I'm not responsible for you getting back in your car and your car smelling for the next however long. And if you throw open my shop, you're cleaning it up. Because I'm not doing it.
Right.
Because I can't. I can sit and do all this stuff with the skulls and everything else, but I cannot clean that up. And a lot of them, they get to the door, and I open the door, and they're like, yeah, no, I'm good. And they're gone before I can close the door and turn around. They're already back to their vehicle. They won't even go in there, but they're so fast they want to see them, and they can't even make it through the door. I mean, I've had people gag in there and they're running. But yeah, I don't smell it. I don't know.
I cut around you the other day to get out of there.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know.
You've already singed all those things in your nose. That
pretty much.
I had to see though, I'm like,
oh, sure.
I got to look at this.
The reason he came in, because he had to see this bear.
Oh man, that was cool.
I got, a guy brought me in green score. This was 28 and 11 Grizz brown bear from Kodiak. This thing is, Chris has a picture of it. It is huge. And that, it is a monster. I mean, it looks like it's 28 inches tall.
Yeah, I can imagine.
I mean, it's just huge. I can't wait to see what it scores. Because I got the guy, Phil, the guy that does Boone and Crockett up here. He lives right down the road from me.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like 3 blocks. So he's going to come over. I got another one that's about 20. I think it was 25 and change that it green scored at. So he's going to come over and do, I'm going to have him come over and score them both for me. I think I got another 45 days on them. But yeah, he's going to come scoring for me. And it's just, the teeth are unbelievable. That's why he went into the beetle building.
Oh, I got cokes in there.
But I mean, I literally walked out. I opened the door and I'm like, man, I don't smell that bad today. And Chris is like, he's talking. And all of a sudden it's like, I'm like, okay, well, maybe it does. I don't know. Right. But I mean, that bear was a sight to see. It was insane.
And this is the guy that handles stinky, rotten beaver salt spring. And even he's running.
Those beavers.
Man, that tells you
That's right,
something.
those beavers are nasty.
Yeah,
Dude,
he's
I'm-
got a DeWalt drill there.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean,
Good
it's
my
so
dad's
hard to-
night, dude.
My dad's had a few come through his shop like that.
Yeah, they're
Dude, and the
they're
crazy
insane.
thing I wish I would have done is taken a front to back picture. Because Tim goes, here. He goes, something for size reference. And he throws that up there. And I'm like, dude, that drill's big. Like when you showing that next to it. But when you looked at it like
sideways. Yeah.
front to back, it was unreal.
Oh yeah, it's insane.
And I wish I would have gotten one more like that. But I mean, even the teeth, I mean, some of those teeth just look crazy. Dude.
Yeah, I can't wait till the canines fall out when I degrease it, because I bet that canine's longer than my hand is. I guarantee it. I've had one from I've had two interior bears that were the same as that. I had one that was 28 and it dried at 20. Oh man, 28 and 9, 28 and 8. I can't remember. And I had another one that was an inch smaller, and that come out of from my guy down in Delta. I do all his work for, and it's the first time I brought him out of the beetles, had him good to go, and I had him sitting in the garage. Scared the crap out of me. When I walked into the garage, because I put them, my dumb butt put them so they're facing the door walking out of the house, and I walk out of the house into the garage, and I just look up, and it's like, holy, jeez almighty, what in the, it just scared. It was crazy how big they are. I mean, that skull was over 30 pounds after I cut all the meat off of it.
Wow.
Yeah, so
Jeez.
getting it out of the beetle box is going to be insane. But yeah, I mean, that skull is just huge. So I can't wait to see what it looks like done. I don't know.
No kidding.
I mean, I don't. I ain't gonna be able to put it in a 5-gallon bucket to degrease it because it's gonna stick out 3 or 4 inches over top of the 5-gallon bucket.
What's the biggest black bear skull do you think you've seen?
Biggest black bear?
Yeah. Out of curiosity.
I think it was right around 19 that I've had coming. I believe that was last year. 19 and 9. I think that's what it was.
Okay.
So I'd have to go back and look.
Big.
But yeah, it was a real nice black bear. So
I killed a wolf a couple years ago. At that time when I shot the wolf, I just out of curiosity, I was like, let me measure this skull. Hadn't ever thought about measuring a wolf skull before. This looks big. I measure it. It was like 17. I want to say 17 and 5/8.
oh, wow.
And so I was like, at
Man.
that point, it was bigger than, it may have been more like 15, 16s or something like that. But at that point, it was bigger than any of the black bears I'd killed.
That wolf skull that you did
That's
for
a
me.
big wolf.
That thing's bigger than like a lot of the bear skulls I have.
And yeah,
Yeah.
Big old noggin
Like
on
a lot
that
of people
dog.
that don't know their bear skulls are like, is that a grizzly skull? I'm like, no, that's a
Yeah.
canine.
Yeah.
That's a wolf skull, but it's bigger than a lot of
Oh,
those
yeah.
black bear skulls.
who's the SCI guy in town? Scoring guy? I don't remember right now.
I can't remember his name off the top of my head.
But I took it down to him because Boone and Crockett doesn't score wolves,
Nope.
and he scored it. And I've got the paper somewhere. I keep meaning to get online and enter it and everything, but it's in the gold
Oh,
category
really?
for SCI.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's I mean, any wolf I get in that's over 12, that 12 inch,
Yeah.
just in length is a huge skull.
Right.
Yeah.
That's a big canine. That's a big wolf. So
Cool, man.
That's cool.
That's
No, I
awesome.
didn't know
That's cool.
about
You
that.
didn't hear
No,
that
I
one
wanna
yet?
see it now.
Yeah.
That's
It's
awesome,
all
dude.
done, beautiful in a box wrapped up in plastic or something on my
nice.
dresser because I've got all my skulls in a box wrapped in foam and stuff. Just because I haven't put them up, I haven't finished my house, so it's kind of,
That's where
Oh,
I'm at.
You
I don't have flooring.
You get a
geez.
I don't either. Downstairs.
Yeah.
I get
Flooring
it's
guy
all
doesn't
pretty
have flooring.
upstairs, and it's just like a construction site downstairs.
I did
It's like the mechanic that's got all the broken cars in his yard.
yeah,
Right.
Makes everybody else's
contractor
stuff
doesn't have
run.
a finished or
Mhm.
construction guy doesn't have a finished house. Yep,
Yeah.
it's paid for though.
Yep.
That's all that matters.
That's more important if you ask me.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll take all my headaches over a giant mortgage. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially, yeah, nobody wants that.
No.
So I had a question for you about the kind of the finishing process. I mean, when you've talked about the degreasing and all that, but the teeth. What's the process with the teeth? You mentioned that like the canines fall out. You said some of them don't fall out though.
Yeah, there's a lot of the molars on bears, wolves that are not going to come out.
Mhm.
I mean, unless you want to drill them out just to get them out. I don't know why you would, but I mean, some people do. So the canines will usually fall out. And then all the front, all the other teeth will fall out, but the molars, they rarely fall. If they do, it's actually kind of cool because if you get them all to fall out on a bear, you know how they got that golden brown tint to them.
Right.
The bears look unbelievably. They're 100. It's just completely different. But the white skull with the light brown teeth all put back in look phenomenal. I've gotten one.
Yeah, a little bit of that contrast there. Yeah,
and it just offsets. Just offsets the skull with the teeth, and it just looks phenomenal. But usually, you end up whitening them because only half of them fall out, or you really can't do nothing about it.
Right.
So literally after degreasing, pull all the teeth out. I put my skulls each into one skull into each mesh bag, really fine mesh bag. And that way when the teeth do fall out, I don't have, because when I degrease skulls, I do in 5-gallon buckets. There's as many skulls as I can fit in that one bucket.
Right.
And I'm
efficiency.
And I've no. I've done it once, and I literally dumped out 5 bears, and I dumped out 5 bears. Of teeth.
Oh no!
And I literally had a pile. It was probably 3-4 inches high, about 8 inches around, full of bear teeth.
It's like the world's worst puzzle.
Yeah, I had to call my wife because she's awesome at puzzles, right? So we're sitting there trying to figure out, put these teeth back together. So I quit doing that, and I put all every skull goes in a mesh bag. If it'll fit in a mesh bag, like that big grizz I got, that's not even gonna fit into a bag. So
and he's probably gonna be on his own anyway.
He's gonna be so I ain't worried about it. But yeah, once I get all that done and I pull all the teeth, all the loose ones, they just, a lot of them pop out, or I just got a handful in the bag. They'll go into I'll put them into a solo cup and write my tag number on it so I know what they go to, and they get in put in peroxide. And then they'll sit in the peroxide for 24 hours, and that's it. I don't go any longer because the peroxide will start to eat the teeth.
Gotcha.
And the same thing with the rest of the skulls. They'll go into a container. I'll fill the container up with peroxide, and the skulls will sit and soak for 24 hours. And then pull the skulls out, put them under a heat lamp, and let them completely dry for. Usually it takes about 48 hours to where I'm comfortable with it, and I know they're 100% dry, and I don't got to worry about peroxide getting everywhere or getting it all over me, because that peroxide will burn the crap out of you.
Oh yeah.
And so yeah, then after that they dry and everything, I'll glue the teeth back in. They do crack. There's from what I've read and tried to understand and everything, it's really hard that they
is it
to stop them from cracking.
Is it typically like a crack on the surface area or more like towards the root? Or
no, it's I've had them crack through the hole from top to bottom on a lot of the bear skulls.
Gotcha.
And it's more the wolves and bear skulls. The canines crack every now and then. I'll get a molar or something that cracks, but it's more like the canines. So literally, if I can get them to come apart, you can glue them back together, and usually you can kind of fix it to where it holds together. But I tell all my customers, just take some white glue, school glue, once a year, and paint your canines. What that does is it keeps them from cracking, keeps them together. And then I also use I'm starting to use a different type of seal on all my skulls now. At least everything without antlers. And it's called a B72. It's a resin type deal that's mixed with acetone.
Oh, okay.
So all the museums do it all with their skulls and everything, and that you just put the skull in that mixture for 3 to 4 minutes. Take it out, throw it under a lamp, and let it dry completely. And that will stop everything from cracking. So the teeth won't crack anymore.
Gotcha.
And the skull also can't absorb anything into it, from what I've read and talked to a bunch of people that use it. So I can't, people handle skulls all the time. Oh, I want to see it. This is cool. Da 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 da. So they're touching all, and people's hands are just greasy and this and that. And the skull will start to take that stuff in. But with
Kinda
this stuff,
taint the color a little bit.
yeah, it'll start to turn
Yeah.
it, just look like crap. To
Mhm.
be honest with you. But this stuff is literally once it's on, it's on.
Yeah.
And there's no way to get anything through it or anything like that. So I mean, it won't take in cigarette smoke, it won't take in grease, everything. You literally just take a rag, wipe, and it's
Awesome.
back to where it's supposed, what it was when you picked it up. And I literally I'm doing, Chris dropped his skulls off the other day, and I'm gonna do that with his. And I've just done my other wolves with it, and I like it a lot better. And so that's what I'm gonna start doing. I just got to figure out how to do the moose and the caribou with it, because it's supposed to soak, but it might get brushed on. I'm not 100% sure yet.
Because of the antlers and all that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I don't want that stuff on the antlers, because the acetone,
Mhm.
I'm not really sure what the acetone would do to them. I'm probably sure it'll start making them, having to deteriorate and all that stuff.
Mm.
You didn't
So-
really mention why those skulls I gave you are good candidates for this trying out process.
Well, I figured I'd let you do that.
Why is that, Chris?
Well, so I gave Tim some fresh stuff, but I also gave him some not so fresh stuff.
So I don't know what stuff.
You were that
Like,
guy.
Just stuff that kind of sat in like a bucket for a while, where like
Sure,
all the
yeah.
teeth were out naturally.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
like I'm talking like
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Wow.
like Tim pulled skulls out. He's like, oh, because he said I show up. He goes, yeah, just leave right there, dude. So what are you up to? I was like, I think we should look in that bucket.
Yeah.
So he starts looking. He's like, oh man, all right.
in the goop.
And I told him, and then he starts telling me about this new process that he's talking about doing. And I'm like, whatever, Tim, do your thing, man. If you couple these things go in the process, that's all right.
Mhm.
That's part of figuring out the next step here.
Well, that's why I figured they were good candidates, because
Yeah.
they've only been sitting in a bucket for I don't know how many years. So,
Yeah.
they should look pretty good.
Of course.
They should look pretty good. They should look pretty good. We'll see. I don't know. I mean, one or two of them was, green. So,
There's like moss growing on them.
Oh, no.
yeah, it was,
Man,
yeah, it was great. So,
let me just run through real quick here. So I got my bear skull, it's out of the hide. I'll clean most of the meat off of it. Take the brains out. Rinse the brain cavity out a little bit.
you don't even got to rinse the brain cavity out if you're going to beetle it, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's just I typically do it just in case,
Oh, okay.
just to be,
Okay.
it's
Yep.
easy to do, and
Okay.
anyway, rinse the brain cavity out and take it down, get it sealed,
Oh, yeah.
bring it back, throw it in a grocery bag in the freezer until
Whenever.
I bring it to you. It's just say
Mhm.
right,
Yep.
and that's ideal,
Yep.
right?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. I've gotten skulls in with half the neck still attached and all the meat on it. I got one in the other day that it was a blacktail, and blacktail season ended a long time ago. Still had the hide on it. Still had the velvet on the antlers, and I took it out, not thinking nothing of it. It's like, all right, cool. So, and I threw it on, let it let it thaw out and everything. And I walked into my beetle building, and I'm like, what in the world is that? And it was just terrible. And I opened the bag up, and there's this blacktail, just atrocious.
staring at you with
It was-
rotted eyes.
I'm like, yeah, no. Back in the bag it went. Back in the freezer it went. Called the customer and said, come get it.
Mm.
I won't touch it.
Yeah.
It's I'm not even gonna put it in my bugs.
Right. The amount of work that you have to do.
I mean, just trying to get that hide off after,
right.
and I don't know how many times it was frozen thawed and
Right.
this and that. And so yeah, and then the velvet's on there.
Mm-hmm.
That's all got to come off.
Mm-hmm.
And then plus, I don't know. I'm sure the antlers are hardened by now. I'm not going to take the chance.
Right.
So yeah, So I mean, ideal getting a skull in. Take as much meat off as you can. If you don't want to take the tongue out, cool. I don't care. My beetles will eat that later. You don't got to get rid of the brains. You don't got to take the eyes out. Just the skull is all I want. I don't want half your animal. I don't want the neck unless it's a bison. And you want to leave half the neck on. Just bring it to me fresh. Well, good. Which has happened, but they wasn't fresh. Yeah, there was, I don't know, about 5-6 inches left on it, and I was really upset because it was shot 3 days prior, so I didn't get any free bison meat. But yeah, clean it up the best you can, and if you can't clean all the meat off it and stuff like that, cool, great. At least bring it in froze or really fresh. Don't bring it 6-7 days sitting in the sun.
Right.
Because I can still do it, but the problem is I have to freeze it for at least 2 to 3 months. One, to kill all whatever else other bugs got in there. So my boxes don't get contaminated with something else, stuff like that. So it's just going to add another couple months onto your wait time. So the cleaner you bring them in, the fresher you bring them in, the better. But I can do skulls that are 10 years old in the freezer. I've done plenty of them. It just takes the rehydration process just takes 3 to 4 weeks. It's just got to sit and soak and soak and soak until all that stuff goes in. And sometimes they got to soak again after they've been beetled once.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So yeah, the cleaner the better. Is great. It saves, and then obviously I charge extra for skinning and stuff like that. So save yourself some money and skin your hide out. Or if you don't, cool. I'll charge you to do it, but bring it to me, within a reasonable amount of time, not 7-10 months down the road. And
the thing for a lot of people too, I mean, if you're not trying to necessarily cape the head like on a deer, let's say you just want the skin, but you're not actually trying to do a mount or anything like that, it's not that hard to skin out a head. Like if you're not trying to be careful and do like precision cuts and like make sure you don't mess up the eyelids and the lips and all this stuff.
Yep.
If you're just trying to get that skin off there, it's quick and easy.
Pliers
it's good
and
practice.
a scalpel.
It's good practice. If you're not comfortable doing it on something, like if you can take a little bit of practice, yeah, exactly. Like scalpel or whatever your choice of knives is. But
yeah.
I mean, I've tried a couple times because there might one day I might shoot something that that I want a shoulder mount on done. So I do sit there and I'll do that for a little bit, and then after a while I just get so frustrated and I'm just like, forget it. Go through 6 blades and it's off and done and gone. I don't, I mean, I don't, my patience level with a lot of it is just,
that's funny.
Forget it. I mean,
yeah.
So if I do shoot something that I'm going to get shoulder mounted, I'm just going to take it over to Rob and have Rob cape it out for me and do all that stuff. Cause I'm not doing it.
Well, and it might just be because I'm more of a personal use. I don't do it for a job or anything like that, but I find it kind of therapeutic. Like even just today, like I was sitting at the house turning those toes and I got Colt Ford on the radio and I'm just sitting in my chair, kicked back, just having a good time. And like, I don't know, but I could imagine doing it like, for customers. It's the same thing with mechanicing. I can work on my own truck, but I don't want to work on anybody else's truck.
Not even on my own,
even
on my own bears, I get tired of turning toes. Like I do it. I don't like cut feet off or anything like that. Like to me, it's not even worth keeping the hide if you do that. But I mean, I guess you could for use or whatever. But
depends on what you're doing with it.
At least I like to send them out, get them tan, hang it on the wall, and you always have a choice doing something with it after that, right? But turn the ears, turn the lips, turn the toes. It doesn't take that much work. It's not that hard, but it's still. I mean, I kind of get what you're saying. Like it's just like this is a pain in the butt.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially when you're doing, 20, 30 a year doing all that, just constant, just go, and it's just, no, I'm done. I'm done. I don't want to do this. Just hurry up and get it off. And I'm not going to sit and, I mean, even still, if you just sit there and just go at it and whatever, you don't care. One, you still got to do it a certain way because you're not going to get the hide off. And two, it still takes you. I mean, a moose still takes me sometimes 45 minutes to get the hide off the.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
So I mean, it still takes a lot of time. And then if I'm sitting there trying to practice on every one, there's an hour, hour and a half gone when I could have already been on to the next 3, stuff like that. So no. My patience, like I said, my patience level with doing that is just like sitting in a bear stand longer than 45 minutes. I just don't. I've done it, but I will start to go stir crazy. I can't sleep. Yeah, I love sitting out there listening to nothing. It's great. Don't get me wrong, but I'm out there to shoot something.
Right.
Shoot something. So that's why I like the spot and stock a lot better.
The worst is when you do those 10-hour sits and nothing even shows up. Like, like early in the season or like
yeah.
new spot or whatever.
Oh yeah,
That's the worst.
yeah.
But
I
I've
think
also
not.
done those 10-hour sits where nothing showed up, and then I was getting ready to leave, and boom,
Yeah, something's
like there it
Yeah.
is. All
Yep.
right, cool.
Yeah, I think my dad's talked about like lowered the bow down, climbing out of the stand, and in comes a bear. So
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly.
I can stand, like
Mhm.
pull the bow back up real slow.
Mhm.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
I know. For me, part of the bear baiting, like sitting in a stand and everything, is I love to read. But
Mm.
you know, adult, family, everything. It's like I don't have time. I have a book sitting by my bed. I try to pick it up every night, but usually 2-3 times. If it's 2-3 times in a week, I'd actually do. That's pretty good. But bear baiting,
Mm-hmm.
I can really like actually get through some books.
Oh yeah.
And you
Yeah.
know, the same thing. You know, same moose season. Depending if I'm doing some like a lot of sitting and glass and stuff,
Yep.
I can get through some books that way, right? It's just, you know, you read a few pages and you glass, and you read a few pages and you glass, right?
Yeah. See, that's what's weird. That's really different from. I can sit in glass, the same mountainside, hillside, whatever for moose all day long.
Mm.
I'm good. I don't even have to do anything else but glass. But it's something about sitting in the stand, looking at the same barrel, and the same. You know, I don't know what. It's not any different than moose. You know, glassing for moose, but it just
Mm-hmm.
cow.
Well, there's not a
drives me insane.
searching aspect when you're sitting there. So, I mean,
It's more of an ambush hunt.
It's
kind of
auditory
thing.
mostly
Yep.
when you're sitting in
Yeah.
a bear stand,
Yeah.
and even then they'll sneak right up on you and be there, and
Oh yeah.
then it's like, oh, there's a bear. I wish I'd known he was coming, but here he is.
Yeah.
Right.
I've had a wolf do that too.
Yeah.
I didn't even know he was there. Nothing. I was just sitting there. All of a sudden, I heard crunching behind me. Hit some leaves. I look over, and no kidding. If I would have been eye level with him, he would have been 4 feet away.
Really?
Scared the crap out of me. And by the time I realized what it was and what everything, and I went and I hit my crossbow, turned the safe off, and just to bring it up, he was gone that
Mm.
quick. But yeah, so yeah, they're just silent as can be.
Yep. That's predators
So-
for you.
Yep.
That's like that grizz last night. I was like sitting there just tinkering, and then I heard that sound, and I'm like, oh. And I've had so many times where I'm doing something like reading, and I look up and there's been a bear sitting there eating.
Right.
And you
Yeah.
can't hear it crunching or anything. You're like, how did I miss this? I'm not good for both things. It's one or the other.
I've been I don't know I don't want to say woken up, but you know, alerted out of my daze, you could say, by the sound of crunching dog food. And I'm like, how?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, how did you you had to walk like either right past me or right through all that dry stuff that I've gone through, and I can't walk quietly through
Yeah.
that.
It's I don't know how they do it.
Ninjas of the woods.
Yeah.
Yep.
But
You sound like a busy bait station kind of guy. You need a good bait.
It's
Now, if you were
gotta
on,
be.
say last time I sat when I killed my bear this year, you would have liked that sit. I mean, I didn't sit 30 minutes. There's a bear. Came in, ran around for like an hour,
Mhm.
right? And then it was like another 20-30 minutes. The one I shot came in, you know, and then he
Right.
spends a bunch of time, and like of 2 hours of
Mhm.
sitting, there was maybe 45 minutes, maybe an hour in 2 hours of sitting, probably 45 minutes of no bears. The rest of the time there was bears there.
Yeah, I mean, I
Yeah.
could see, I could probably handle it if it was like maybe one came in there for 15-20 minutes and it was like an hour,
Yeah.
and it was, I mean, it doesn't have to be busy like the highway, but I mean, something besides the squirrels and,
Yeah.
Mosquitoes.
Mosquitoes. Oh my goodness. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I've been that way since I've been knee high to a grasshopper.
yeah.
I mean, it's like, even whitetail hunting in South Dakota. If I'm not seeing deer in the first 10 minutes, which is really odd, that doesn't happen. But if I'm not seeing deer while we're out hunting the first 10 minutes, I was done. Big time done. And we were walking. I've never sat in a stand until I moved up here.
Mhm.
Never.
Hmm.
So, I guess maybe getting used to it. I don't know.
Well, I think everybody has their preferred ways of hunting, and I think especially for baiting, like there's a certain aspect where you just want to kill bears, and that's why you do it. But like
Mhm.
every bear baiter that sticks to it, just they love the process of baiting, like to an extent. Like they like the getting out in the spring. They like the the sitting and listening to the woods. They like the watching bears or
Oh,
something
yeah.
like that. It's not just the killing of the bears. It's the whole process is like an enjoyable.
I think like
thing.
even if you really get into it, like we get real bad about it. Like my wife and I took her I don't know when that was, like 2.5 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
And we're driving up and we see an ermine. We see a wolf. We see bear. And she's like, I can't believe how much stuff, porcupine.
Mm-hmm.
We see all this stuff. And she's like, I can't believe how much. And if that's appealing to you,
Right.
that's part of the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
But if that's not your shtick,
Like last
then
night,
that's
I seen
okay,
a coyote
but-
coming home, and in a spot I've never seen a coyote. But I got a buddy that like he shot him out there, and I'm like, there is coyotes here. And then like 30 minutes of the drive, I'm just grinding my gears on that coyote I saw.
Yeah, that's one
Yep.
thing. That's one thing I haven't seen up here as a coyote.
Really?
Really?
No. Everywhere. I mean, I've seen wolves, everything. I've
Dude.
not seen a coyote yet. I get so many coyote skulls in, and I'm like,
Where?
If I have to get out more, I'm trying to figure out how, because I am out quite a bit, but I've never seen
See,
one.
they
of
usually
those.
come
funny
in
is
right
that-
at that hour mark at a bait station. I'm just done.
Right, 15 minutes after I'm done and gone, they're coming in.
You know what's funny is where you're at there's a good population of coyotes for that area.
I've never seen or heard one.
I've killed them around your house.
He's why.
That's probably why.
No, there's more. There's ones I couldn't get at. No, that really, no, all kidding aside, kind of right where you're at. Because we lived kind of in that direction at one point.
Yeah.
I had seen a couple and called Fish and Game, and I was like, hey, can I dump these things? They're like, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, really? And they're like, yeah, don't shoot your neighbor's house and don't abide by all the shooting rules. And like, yeah, one time my wife and I were having coffee and I showed a big old husky out there.
Nope.
Hopefully it wasn't actually a husky, but we've seen that story before.
Husky coyote hybrid.
Oh, no.
Oh, man. I seen a guy the other day I was on Facebook, cruising Facebook, and it was one of those like predator hunting pages, and it was some dude. He had like a picture of a lab walking through a field, and he's like, "Does anyone have a good taxidermist if I take this?"
Oh,
But he was
yeah.
just like, he was just trying to get sparked,
Just
you know?
joshing. Yeah.
Just like, oh, and a bunch of people took the bait. Everyone was all angry. I'm like, come on, dude, the guy's not serious. And I like, I'm always going over. First thing I do is go to this guy's profile. He's just like laying yotes and wolves up. I'm like,
Mhm.
this dude's, he knows what he's doing.
He knows the difference.
I'm like,
He's just-
you guys are so stupid. Too easy.
so fun.
Oh, man.
Actually, that brings up a good question too. Kind of certain shots people take at baits and predator hunting, or in our case earlier this spring, Chris, beaver hunting. How many headshots do you deal with? And is that even a worthwhile thing to bring to you?
I deal with quite a few of them, actually. It depends on what you shoot it with in the head, to be honest. What caliber of rifle. I can fix a majority of the skull when you do decide to shoot it in the head, because a headshot is not the place to shoot it, to put it down
Right.
after you got there. Not a good idea, because it's still, I mean, there's better places to do it. But yeah, I mean, it depends on what you use to shoot it with. I have had a lot of wolves come in that were shot in the head, but they were shot, I believe, with like a 204.
Okay.
And that doesn't do a lot of damage. A 22 obviously doesn't do a lot of damage. It's just an entry and exit hole.
I would say, yeah, like your culling gun
Yeah.
on a trap line or something like
don't
that.
shoot it with a 10 mil in the head, because I can keep the front of the skull for you, but the rest is probably going to be in a million pieces.
Right.
You know, so yeah, I usually get somewhere between 10 and 15 a year. I get some in that people don't even know were shot in the head till I send them pictures.
Mm.
Because they want a Euro mount done on a moose, and they shot it in the head. Their hunting partner, somebody shot it in the head with a 10 mil,
Mm-hmm.
and literally you can't do a Euro mount anymore.
Right.
You know, because
Right.
there's nothing
Mm-hmm.
to hang it to.
I shot a wolf in the face one time.
In the face.
Not on purpose. It was about 320 yards. And I had a scope with, you couldn't dial, but it had holdovers.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
And a 300 short mag. And so I couldn't lay down. I couldn't get prone, no bench, nothing. So I just like shooting stick, kneeling, just single pole shooting stick, and line up. And my dad was standing there spot, and he's like, "Yeah," and I could see the wolf's head in the grass. So I was like, "All right, I'm gonna shoot right under the head, right under the face." Aimed and shot, and anyway, I hit it dead, right, and I could get up there to it, and I'd hit it. It'd gone like right between the lips and the front of the mouth, and then like through the back, through the throat, almost like into the back, like hardly messed up the back of the skull at all.
Oh wow!
It just blew the bottom jaw apart from the hydrostatic shock, right, and then came out, above next to the backbone. But
wow,
that was really cool.
wow.
A little high on the shot, I was pretty happy with being the situation it was and the distance. Like,
I just say you meant to do that. I mean,
yeah,
right, yeah. I wanted to put it between the lips. Yeah,
that's exactly where I was aiming.
Yeah. Well, and so like, and the reason I ask is like, I mean, with beaver hunting, that's a dome shot is what you want to do for those guys, or like sometimes when you're predator hunting, like I use my 2.2 mag a lot with fragmenting bullets, and sometimes all you've got is the eye shine, and that's all you can see, and you just shoot between the eye shine and hope hope it goes down. But and I didn't even bother trying to preserve that beaver's head, because I mean there were like pieces of bone lodged in the hide.
Yeah, beavers are the worst.
Yeah,
you shoot them in the head, and there's really no going back after you do that to even put them back together, because they just literally incinerate. It's almost impossible. I mean, I've had one guy that's brought me 4 or 5 of them. He goes, "I promise I didn't shoot this one in the head." And okay, cool. I can't tell on a lot of them until they're beetled.
Right.
And then I go in and there's 30 pieces of a beaver skull and the teeth sitting there. I'm like,
looks like pebbles.
Yeah. I'm like, well, I guess I got beaver teeth, but I ain't putting this back together. Because, I mean, it takes, it'll take you a couple hours.
Oh, I'm sure.
To glue all that back together. And that's once you put the puzzle back together. So, yeah, I've done a couple bears like that. And,
well, because I've always thought that might look cool, like to have a nice whitened, like bear skull with a bullet hole right through it or something like that. Like,
I got a bunch of pictures.
Yeah.
They're really cool to see, because I mean, you're missing one whole side of the skull, but the rest of it's all cool. It's all good to go. So big old holes in it, but they look really neat. But man, they're not fun to put back together. I'll tell you that. They're not. Yeah, I did one for a guy out of state. I think he's in California. I can't remember. I've sent so many skulls out of state. And yeah, he shot it in the back of the head. And yeah, there was, I mean, the hole was probably, I don't know, 3-4 inches around. But it all went back together, right? So
that's good.
Yeah.
That's good. Is that I mean, I'm assuming that's an upcharge if you were to spend hours and hours putting it together.
Putting it back together, yeah, I charge by the hour when I'm gluing skulls, when I'm rebuilding your skull. Because it can take, I mean, depending on how bad it is, like I said, what it's shot with, it can take me 30 minutes or it can take me 5 hours. And it depends on, do you want to pay me for an extra 5 hours of labor to put the skull back together? Or you just want to say, yeah, no, just do what you can with what you got and call it a day.
I think James and I, from our angle, we kind of would embrace some of that damage.
Honestly,
for the look of it, like, no, don't go back together, Tim.
Right,
that's what I'm looking for.
Yeah, they're pretty neat to be honest. It is a really good talking point when you're at the house or something. Somebody asks something about it. You got a heck of a story to tell them that you shot it in the dang head. So yeah. But I do get quite a few in. It's just, how bad do you want to put back together?
Yeah.
I'm looking for the picture. So
I worked in a guy's house that had like a Euro mount of moose, and it had a bullet just perfectly centered, a bullet hole, and it looked really cool.
Yeah.
I bet.
I found one the other day that the bullet was still lodged into the skull.
Really?
Yeah, so I had to take it out, obviously, because I can't degrease it with that in there. The peroxide will have a reaction with the lead, and then the skull will be it'll turn the skull green.
Gotcha.
So yeah, but yeah, I put it in a bag, wrote the number down on the tag number on it, so I know who to give it to when he comes to pick his stuff up. So yeah, I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
That was pretty neat.
Just have him glue it right back in place.
Yep,
like
exactly.
Yeah.
Like, do you want this back in here? So yeah, it'll be pretty cool for that. So I'll find this when we're done.
Yeah, sure.
But yeah.
And then like, I've just got like two questions left for you, but like, you don't do any kind of finishing work, right? I mean,
As
obviously
in-
the skulls you do, but like mounting or anything like that, you don't put them on plaques or anything like
Yeah,
that.
actually I do.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Yeah, we do. We got a bunch of different plaques. I started doing stuff for bears this year.
Awesome.
They're really cool plaques. Try to use what is it? Birch. I use birch planks, and I'll cut my plaques out of those. And then some spruce. I'm not big on how the spruce looks, just because it's it doesn't have the character that that birch does.
Yeah.
And then I'm getting some of my lumber or stuff down from a guy out of Big Lake.
Sweet.
Yeah, he's got
They
some
got big trees down there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they got some bigger stuff down there, and he gets it from all over the state that I can't, obviously get, or he buys it in bulk, and he mills it all up himself. So I just, when I'm coming back from Kenai, I'll swing in and pick up what I need or this or that, or and then bring it back up. Or if I try to get all my birch here though, local and stuff like that, I've been trying to get a bunch of birch trees, and lately it hasn't happened to do my own planks. So trying to do that. But yeah, we do those. We got 3 different size Alaska plaques that we do. A buddy of mine does that for me because, again, the patience right in there. Cutting out an Alaska plaque with a jigsaw it takes a lot of patience.
It does.
I've tried doing 2, and they turned into firewood, and I called it a day.
Yeah.
Those are so nice.
so-
Those bases and stuff you get. Those are
So
awesome.
the ideal way to do
Thanks.
it's with a scroll saw.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, well, he can do the 2 smaller ones.
Mhm.
But the one that we use for moose,
Yeah, it's a lot bigger.
from the chain to the panhandle is almost 4 foot wide.
Okay, yeah,
Wow.
that's a little big for a scroll
So it's a
saw.
little big for
Yeah.
that. And then like I said, we do the smaller ones. That I still think he does. I don't know if he uses a scroll saw or if he does if he uses a jigsaw. But they come out great. I really like them. They
Yeah.
are made obviously out of plywood because we don't have trees that big up here. But yeah, he does them all out of birch plywood, birch, maple, or whatever is we can get here locally
Mhm.
available.
Awesome.
But they're awesome. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
that's-
there's a bunch of other ones, and then the mounts themselves. I met a guy that's down south, and he can make me pretty much any mount that I want. He's never dealt with like making a mount for a moose or a sheep or even a bison. But the stuff he's come up with there, and that I've kind of worked with him on and stuff like that, they're actually really cool. I just got my moose in the other day, and they're really cool looking. They got a moose antler in there for some of the bracing and stuff like that, and it sticks off the wall pretty far, so you don't got to worry about the antlers hitting the wall and things like that.
Mhm.
So his prices they're not $200 for the mount and stuff like that. They're really really affordable. So I mean, you don't gotta go break the bank to get a mount and stuff like that. So
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
So somebody can bring you, if they do what Mo had laid out earlier,
Yep.
prepping the skull properly, they can bring it to you and walk away with a fully,
Absolutely.
on a plaque,
on
ready
a plaque,
to hang,
ready to hang. Yep.
good to go.
Yep, absolutely.
That's awesome.
So yeah, it's really cool. I'm trying to actually get some plaques made up for doll sheep, and those will look pretty cool on there too, out of the birch. So yeah, we're getting there. It took us a little bit longer than I thought, but I actually thought woodworking was a little bit easier. And boy, that was not the right way to go. Not the right way to think. But yeah, I make all those plaques. My buddy makes all the Alaskan plaques. And yeah, we drop your stuff off, pick it up, and all you gotta do is go home and put because I give you all the hardware that goes with it too. I mean, you don't got to go buy no screws. You don't got to go buy no hardware whatsoever. It's literally already there, boom, done. All you got to do is put a screw in the wall and hang it.
Awesome.
So yeah, it's try to make it as simple as possible for people, affordable as I can. And so I mean everybody can actually enjoy what their trophy that they go out and shoot, no matter how small or how big it is.
Sure. That's awesome.
So-
Yeah, I wasn't expecting that, to be honest with you. That's why.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, that's a really cool service.
Yeah, the Alaska
Yeah.
plaques are my favorite. Like Chris said, those things are unbelievable. And up on the wall, I got customers that send me pictures all the time of everything they got done put on the wall, and it just looks phenomenal. Those
Yeah.
Alaska plaques are just something different because they're really proportionate. They actually look like Alaska. compared to some of the ones I've seen, from stuff down the lower 48. It's just,
right.
it's like related.
The made in China, Alaska.
Yeah. The Aleutian chain's 2 inches, the panhandle's 9, and Alaska and the mainland of Alaska is like 2 inches by 2, and you're done. It's just like, what in the world are you guys doing?
We're just an island down by Hawaii.
Yeah. No worries. But, we do all that. We don't, I don't do any taxidermy, full blown taxidermy, because I'm not technically a taxidermist.
Mm-hmm.
You ask any full blown taxidermist, and no, I do not do taxidermy. Which I don't want that. I don't ever want to do that. I send my stuff over to Arctic Urx, and he does all that stuff.
Yeah.
And Rob does really good work with that, and he sends me all his skulls he gets too. So
awesome.
It's kind of a give and take deal, and it's great, and really good partnership with that, and he's really good at it too. So
do you do any like skull caps if people want that, or is that more in their realm?
No, I do skull caps too. I'll get everything prepped and all that stuff ready to go, and my wife will come out and wrap the skull cap. And I will I'll mount it to the plaque and call it good. I've never had any patience ever in my whole life.
Mm-hmm.
So I tried one, and I think I went through a whole 4x4 piece of fabric for one 10-inch skull cap. And I was done. I said, here you go. And she's awesome. She comes out and she knocks it out and she's done.
Mm-hmm.
She is awesome. She really is. I can't say enough about it because she's actually found out a lot of ways to do stuff that I didn't find, and it's worked phenomenal. So she was always, when we started, she was always sitting there searching and searching. She goes, "You're doing this today?" I'm like, "Yeah." She's like, "All right, da 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 da." And she sit there and do a bunch of research and stuff like that for me while I'm out working on the other stuff. And she's like, "Let's try this and this and this," and it was a lot of trial by error for us for a really long time, at least the first year and a half.
Sure.
And so all we could do that's all we could do, I mean, besides reading. And then like I said, I got another buddy down in Wasilla. I bounce a lot of stuff off. I probably owe him a lot of beer for all the questions I've sent him. So, but he had no issues. He's like, "Yep, da da da," and he told me how to do this and that. Or he's like, "Don't even touch that. Send it back and tell him you ain't doing it." Because it was He said, "Don't even try it." He said, "I don't even touch them." So, but without my wife and my 2 boys helping me out and my granddaughter, oh my goodness. So it was a lot, and then we finally got to where we're at, and it's our 4th year, and we are really going strong. I mean, it's literally, I just can't believe how it took.
Yeah,
it just blew up.
That's awesome, honestly, and I mean, it's a huge need. I mean, up here, I mean, it's a hunting town,
Oh yeah.
And I mean, for a good service
Mm-hmm.
have things done right, and I mean that laser focus attention to detail, it's like that's a very valuable thing, because I'm sure tons of people that'll try their hand at a thing and then burn out, or just goof things up if left and right, and then it's hard to recover from that. But there's having somebody you can trust to bring stuff to is a huge deal.
Cool.
in a town like this. So.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. It's like I said, I just can't believe how it's gotten, and how many people, I don't think I'm a professional doing this. I'll tell you that right now. I literally, like I said, I'm learning every single day. So it's a lot just to do and over and over again, and it's great. I just cannot believe how big we've gotten in such a little bit of time.
Yeah.
I mean, literally, it's just insane.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm happy for you, man.
Thank you.
Heck yeah.
and I'm sure the town's happy you're here too. So just as a last tidbit on a little bit of, if you want to, I don't know if you want to call anybody out. You've told a lot of funny stories about stuff you've gotten. Do you have any like horror story that you haven't mentioned yet that you don't mind calling out? Whether, and honestly, I'll open it up to this, either the way the process went for you, that was just a real learning curve for you, or something you got that was just,
Well, I don't know about horror stories. I haven't destroyed anybody's skull yet, knock on wood. Thank goodness I haven't done that.
Yeah.
Because that would be devastating. I have, when I was first, I mean, like I said, it's not a horror story, but when I first was just getting into it, about a year and a half into it, doing moose, I've had a few brought back because I didn't decrease them all the way. And their wife literally took it off the wall and threw it out the door. because it stunk that bad.
Oh no.
And yeah, I looked at it and I'm like, boy, I'm an idiot. And I need to take this home and fix it because it was, yeah. I mean, it sat outside so long I couldn't smell it because it was cold. But I got it back into my garage, let it warm up, and yeah, my wife Dawnette was about ready to throw it out the door.
Oh no.
So yeah, we had to learn how to degrease a lot better after that. So I mean, it was not good. I mean, it smelled worse than the Beatles. I'll tell you that.
No kidding.
Because that grease and the stuff in there just got so hot and so nasty, and it was just terrible. But yeah, we learned from that mistake. But I mean, nothing drastic.
That's a good thing.
Luckily,
that's a very good thing.
I don't want to get there. I don't want to get there. So I mean, yeah, and no.
Well, hopefully, when people listen to this too, you'll get no more rotten skulls. No.
I hope not. Honestly, I hope not. But yeah, we'll see how that goes.
Perfect. All right. Well, unless you guys have anything else, any questions? No. All right. Well, we're at a good point here, so I think we'll wrap up for the night. I really appreciate you coming on and chit chatting with us and telling us so much about this process. I've been super curious about this, honestly, for a long time, and I don't know. I've just never really bugged your dad, Mo, or anything like that, and I'm totally fascinated learning about this stuff. So thank you very much for spending time with us.
Yeah, absolutely. This was a blast. I was really nervous at first, but really nervous. I've never done nothing like this, but no, I mean, everybody, you guys all support me and everybody else does. And I figured, well, I might as well come back and support you guys back. And yeah, this is awesome. So I really thank you very much. It was really a good time.
Yeah. I've had a great time tonight. So
yeah, thanks, Tim.
Absolutely.
Appreciate you, man.
Thanks for the invite, Chris.
I'm always talking you up, and I'm like, James and then I asked you, and you were like, nah. And I told James, I was like, I don't think it's going to happen with Tim, man. And then you holler back, and you're like, I'll do it. I'm like, yes. Well, we got to have Tim on, man.
Which I'm happy about. I've been bugging Chris to get for a little while now. So,
well, you can thank my wife next time you see her because she talked me into it.
Will do.
She's so cool.
Will do.
She's awesome.
Yeah, that she is.
All right, folks. Well, thank you so much for listening and for hanging in on this one with us. Hopefully you learned a lot and had a lot of fun, just like we did. So if you have any questions, feel free to write into the show. We've got the contact button on the if you go to the northernhunter.com, that's our website. We've also got our partners page where you can buy gear from different sponsors that have decided they believe in what we're doing, and they've given us some discount codes. We've got Stealthy Hunter to protect a lot of your stuff, your scope and your rear end while you're out there hunting. They've got Trauma Kit and all kinds of stuff. We've got a nice discount code with them. It's baiting season, so if you go ahead and want to restock with some Beta 907, we've got a discount code with her as well. All of those links are listed there with the code that's being used. And if you buy stuff from them, a lot of these, they're all hunting companies. Some of them are very small companies, so if you buy some gear, get yourself something nice. It helps them, helps us push this show a little bit farther. We've also got our merch store there. If you'd be so kind as to buy some logo wear, we've got a design on there for this summer to support the King Salmon. It's the God Save the King design. If you'd like to rock that, we've got hoodies and t-shirts, we've got hats, and we've got at least 2 new designs that are going to be dropping in the next couple of months that I know of. So keep an eye out for that. And if you would be so kind as to leave a review and a rating on whatever platform you're listening to us on. 5 stars is always best, and written reviews go a long way. We don't do any kind of marketing, paid advertising here, so helping the algorithm push this show further is really the only way we grow, and then, of course, sharing it with your friends if you think they'd enjoy it. There's always a share button on either social media stuff or on whatever platform you're listening to. So thank you guys for listening. Thank you again for coming on the show.
Absolutely.
And until next week, get out there, get after it, and good luck. We'll see you there.